Let's get into it. Montrell,
Yeah,
how you doing?
I'm okay.
You doing okay? Well, I mean, it's
Oh
dude.
yeah,
It's,
you're in podcast mode. I'm sorry.
yeah,
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 I'm
yeah,
okay.
yeah. We're in recording mode now. You get off the casualness. I mean, hey man, dude, it's been 2 weeks. I mean, how was the week off from the podcast? I know you went
uh,
home as well.
no, I didn't go home. Went to Missouri. So
Oh, you went to Missouri. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah, I had to see my girl's family. So
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, so it was all right. The drive up there wasn't bad.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it was pretty chill. I think I was nervous about meeting her family because like I had really bad chest pains. So I think I was just like really nervous about it. Then once I got back home, you know, everything was everything. Everything was cool. But I thought maybe I was like having a heart attack, but I think I was just having a mini anxiety attack. Which is weird because I already met their family before, but under different circumstances, like not bad circumstances, but it was just different circumstances. Like it was this anniversary party you had to go to or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so uh, it was pretty cool. I mean, I like the little town they live in. It was really different from Dallas, or just the big city in general.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it was kind of hard when I got back, even though I was only there for like 3 days, 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
Uh, just coming back to Dallas and everything's being in your face again and everything like that is just like, oh my god.
In your face.
Uh,
What do you mean in your face?
like I don't like, bro. Like driving out of Dallas and into Dallas is fucking terrible. And it's not like the traffic is bad. The
Yeah.
traffic wasn't bad. It's just like
Yeah.
the streets. Like
Okay.
Dallas's highways are like really weird.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like it's like almost like a maze, and I
Okay.
can't really describe
I
it.
see what you mean.
Uh,
Well, yeah, the
yeah,
highways around here are fucking insane. Like
yeah,
it's like you're in a fucking some parts of it. I feel like I'm in an amusement park looking at a roller coaster. You know, like
yeah, yeah.
it's yeah.
And that's how I feel. So I drove out of Dallas. I hated it. So I told her I'm not driving into Dallas. So when we drove back, like I drove for the first like 4 hours, and then she drove for like the last 2 or 3 hours. Um, so I don't know. I like driving. I like seeing the countryside and everything like that.
Yeah.
I think it's very underrated. Um,
Yeah, it sounds
and I
fun. I've
like
never
sleeping
done
on the road. Yeah,
it. Yeah.
I recommend you do it. Recommend you do a road trip with your wife one day.
Oh, we
I think
want
y'all
to,
like it.
dude. That's like that's like our dream trip is like a like take it like literally like 2 years and just drive to every state in the US and spend like 2 weeks at each one.
Oh, that's nice.
In each one and like and rent like a Winnebago or something.
Mm-hmm.
Then yeah, just drive around the entire country. Like, dude, that's like my dream trip. And to go to all the like fucking nooks and crannies and see all the weird shit in every state, you know.
Yeah.
So I know I'd love to do that, man. That's probably like a long term goal later in my life, you know, when I'm in like my 50s or something. So well, that's good. That's good. How was Thanksgiving proper? Did you have good food?
Yeah, it was really good. The food was good. Yeah, the family was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Played like board games and stuff like that, and
Ooh, okay,
it was all good.
okay, okay.
I don't know. I was by the third day though. I was ready to come home. I was like, all right,
Yeah,
ready
I
to be
feel
back in
you.
my own house.
Well, were
So
you off the whole week or no?
no, I wasn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, nah, that kind of sucks then. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, like not really any chill time for yourself.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I had a good week. I was at home the whole week pretty much. Had my mom over for Thanksgiving, which was good. Watched some football. Ate a lot, fucking ton of food. And then we finished our Christmas lights, so those are all up outside. For the most part, which is nice. And then yeah, it was just mostly gaming, a lot of gaming, which we'll get into here in a few. So all right, well that's good. That's good to hear. All right, well let's get into the show proper, Montreal. So hi everybody, welcome to the Players Take. This is episode 197. We are back from our break, and we will. Don't worry, we're not gonna make it a regular thing. So but it was good. It was nice to have a week where we kind of didn't have to worry about anything and could just hang out with family and whatnot. And my wife is looking at me right now, showing me some of the Christmas decorations. That's good. So, anyways, I'm just your host, Justin Eastmody, joined by my co-host, Montrell Rice, and I guess let me get into the rigmarole and we'll just get into it, right, Montrell? We got a ton of shit to cover today, so.
Yeah.
For those of you who haven't listened before, this is our weekly show where we talk about video games, video game news, and other topics pertaining to video games. We post at 6 a.m. Central Time on Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and your favorite podcast app of choice. And if you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter at The Players Take, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. And all right, let's fucking go. Let's get right into it and start like we always do with games we have been playing. Marshall, do you want to go first? We do have one game of overlap or two games of overlap.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Okay.
So I've been playing Overwatch 2 a little. Well, I haven't played it played it a little bit. But I haven't played the new season. I know the new season's coming out. But I actually been having the itch to play this game, but you know, Andy hasn't been around, so and it's just been me and Brad, and I don't like playing it with two players. Or at least want three players to play it with. But I actually been having the itch to play this game.
Okay.
God of War, I've been playing that a little bit. Oops. But I haven't played too much of it. I don't know why. I just haven't had the itch to play the game. To be honest with you, I see everybody ranting and raving about it, but I don't know.
Well, okay. I guess let's stop here and talk about this because I finally got into God of War Friday, and I've been pretty much playing it ever since. I stopped playing Tactics Ogre for a little bit, which I'll get into that in a few. But I mean, so you told me it sounds like you're about 15 hours into the game or so. 10 to 15, somewhere in there. Did you do
10 hours?
Yeah, did you do any of the side stuff in the first realm or no?
Yeah, I saved that giant thing.
That creature, yeah.
Yeah, I saved that.
Okay.
I did do some of the side content, pretty much, yeah.
Okay, yeah, then you're like 10 to 15 hours in, something like that. But so I'm probably in the 23 to 25 range at this point. I've actually been playing it pretty hard. So I've gotten pretty deep in the story, but I mean, yeah. So what is it about the game that I guess is not grabbing you so far?
It seems like every time the story is picking up, this is gonna sound so fucking counterintuitive. Every time the story picks up, video game shit happens, and I gotta play the video game again. So it's like I really want to, but I'm playing it at God of War level, so or the highest difficulty, or whatever.
Okay, man, what a badass over here, shit. Okay.
So I mean, when certain stuff comes up or whatever, I like to play in the game or whatever. But at this point, I think I'm at the point in my life where certain games I'm not gonna like go hard on, and I think God of War. I think Sony first party games are like those games I'm not gonna go super hard on. Anymore.
I agree. I don't. God of War is the only exception where I really like actually want to play it on hard. Like because Horizon, I started it on hard, lowered the difficulty. The Last of Us started it on hard, lowered the difficulty. Like I just like I'm like I don't. It's not. This isn't the kind of challenge I want out of a game. Like I just like I'm not here for this. Really. So I feel you on that.
And it's weird because I'm having fun with God of War. But when people post God of War 3 in particular. And they post the fight shit that you can do, like the enemy juggling, fucking almost Devil May Cry-esque shit you can do in there. And then I go back to Ragnarok and I play Ragnarok. I'm like, oh my God. Like, don't get me wrong, the combat is fun, but it's like I've already been here before. But the story is phenomenal. But it's like the combat so far is like I've already been here before. And I don't feel like this is a sequel. I feel like, and I kind of understand why they didn't say God of War 2 Ragnarok, and they just said God of War Ragnarok. because this
Yeah.
doesn't feel like a sequel. And they can kind of justify it and saying, well, guys, this actually isn't a sequel to the game. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because I just feel like that. And the reviews that I watch or everything like that, I feel like people don't say that the combat didn't change enough. The only part is the combat. I don't want to spoil anything. It's certain sections of the game uh that you play
Yeah.
that feels significantly different, or not significantly different, but it just feels different enough to get me going. But then I gotta go back to, whatever the case may be, to the normal shit.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the normal shit. It's just like I've been doing this normal shit, and it's like I
Mhm.
waited 4 years for this. Like, as far as combat wise, story wise, and acting wise,
Well,
presentation, everything is like top
yeah.
notch.
You'll
It's
you'll
just
find you'll find with the combat, not the direct combat for Kratos,
mhm,
but I will say one thing. I'm deep enough in now that the companion system in this game is actually pretty robust. I'm impressed with it.
okay.
But you don't control the companion, so it's not affecting your direct gameplay that much, like the things you're doing, per se.
Yeah.
But I am impressed with the system they've created in this game because, dude, there's like eight or nine companions in this game that you play with, and that is impressive in and of itself because they're all pretty unique. Um,
Okay.
so yeah.
Yeah, I figure I just gotta get far enough in the game. I
Mhm.
just haven't gotten there yet, so that's why I've been like holding my tongue on it, and I'm not trying to shit on everything. It's just I love the game so far. It's just
Yeah.
as far as combat wise, I'm not seeing a huge improvement, but I figure that pretty much happened like 20 hours into the game.
Yeah, but it's like that's too long to me. I'm not even at the point where it's really still significantly different, It's I mean, I like I'm getting a more of a flow for it now, and I've gotten the timing down for the parries and stuff a lot more. And I will say the parry stuff, like God of War, before Sekiro, like God of War was my game where it was like parrying was king.
Hmm.
And that was like the way to play the game. God of War has always been that way. And this game continues that tradition to me, where like, because they actually give you different types of shields where you can focus on blocking, pure blocking, where you're not parrying, you're just blocking attacks. And you can block more than you can with certain other types of shields. But then there's a shield they give you, which is the one I use, that enhances your parrying more. Like if you parry enemies, you can do like follow up attacks and stuff off those parries. Um, and I'm starting to find that very satisfying. So, um, it's I don't know, it's good, it's solid, it's as solid as the first game was. It's a little bit better, but I don't think it's a huge leap at this point. I don't see it yet. So,
Yeah, and that's where I'm at right now. Like I said, it's a really good, really solid. It's just
mhm.
not the leap I wanted to be. I thought they were gonna probably go a little bit further
Yeah,
with it
yeah,
and put it more back towards its roots. Not to say that I wanted to go back all the way to that, but I
mhm.
do want a little bit more.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's almost like I wanted what they did with The Last of Us 2, not this studio, but in general, what they did with The Last of Us, right? Because
mhm.
there's a significant difference between The Last of Us and then The Last of Us Part 2. Like,
Yeah,
that combat is
mhm.
crazy good.
Yeah,
Um, and God of War's combat was already really good, but I really wanted them to take the next. I was really interested in seeing how they were going to take the next leap forward. Like, what were they going to do to make it even more like crazy or
yeah,
whatever? And I didn't want the same craziness that I got in the first 5 games or 4 games or however, whenever you stopped. 6 games for me, but whenever you stopped for God of War, the original God of War, I wanted to be more in tune with what's 2018, but like
mhm.
just up the ante a little bit, like whatever the case may be.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I wanted the certain shit that we can do in certain set pieces of God of War, uh, to be able to do in regular combat that makes any sense, but
mhm.
they're still reserved for certain set pieces now,
Yeah,
which is okay, which is fine. I mean, that's cool, and I understand like I understand the audience they're trying to go for. I just think Sony does this thing where they kind of undermine their audience. Um,
yeah,
which is weird because The Last of Us 2, you would think everyone says that's the game where Sony undermines their players as far as like their actual player skill. but that game you can up
I
the ante
totally
to where
disagree. I totally disagree with that.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
crazy.
that's what I'm about to
I don't know
say.
why people
I,
think about that game like that. It's so yeah. Anyways, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, like, but that game has so many different sliders, and even the default hardest difficulty, you need skill you need to learn, you need to know access to the maps, how the enemy rotations and everything. And even if
Yeah.
you do know the enemy rotations, the AI is so good where they can communicate to pinpoint you. It's crazy. But like for God of War, Ragnarok for right now, at the area I'm at, I just don't see the difference, and that's why I just want a little bit more craziness. I don't want to be I don't want them to undermine me by saying like, oh, this is a little bit too crazy. Like I want the game to be still be a game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's not gamey enough for me.
Yeah.
It's a game, but it's not gamey enough for me. Silas, you're not getting on this desk. Stop it. I'm gonna kick you out my lap.
Oh man, let him in. Let him in, man.
No, he's on my lap, but he's trying to get on
Oh,
the
I see.
desk.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, but besides that, though, I think the game is a really solid game.
How do
Like,
you feel about the
I
story
can
so
see
far?
why. Well, I love it. I love the slow pace of it, and
Hmm.
I think my payoff is going to be worth it in the end. So,
Yeah, I enjoy the pace as well. I think that's one thing they did a good job with in the first game. I think this game's a little bit more annoying though because they're starting to do a thing with it where they're kind of splitting characters up and like you'll have a one moment with one character and then there's like a payoff that's coming, but they wait until you go do a thing with the other character and come back before you see the payoff for the first one. You know, it's like so they're like almost
yeah.
cliffhangering you at the end of some of these sequences, and it's a little annoying. Like that's a little annoying to me. But yeah, sorry, I jumped in. You can keep
No,
going.
you are good.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, so the I think the thing I want to call out with this game though, this game, like, obviously I'm enjoying it. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm gonna keep playing this till I beat it, and but then probably go back to Tactics Ogre. But it's it's kind of a mixed bag for me. I don't think this game is as good as 2018 in a lot of ways. I think the pacing is one of those ways that it is not as good
Mhm.
as 2018 because this game, I'm noticing this a lot in specific story sequences, and the one you're in right now in particular, is where I noticed it the worst. And I don't know, maybe you've only gone through about half of it, so I don't know if you have the same opinion as me, but dude, they just started inserting combat into that section of the game to me, and I like I love that section of the story, but I hate the fact that they constantly interject you with combat encounters and like when they're not necessary. Like I don't need them. Like they don't need to be there. Like just let these fucking characters talk, bro. Like you don't have to let them say 4 lines and then oh combat encounter and
Yeah, and that
their conversation's interrupted and then they continue it once the combat encounter is over. It's like and
yeah,
they
and
kept doing that in that sequence and it was so fucking annoying. Like it's out of place, you know? Like
yeah, and that's what I mean. Like,
yeah.
it's like they always had to remind you that this is a video game.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
and and that's what I'm saying. That's where the dichotomy for me comes in. It's like, all right, it's a video game, but you're not giving me a video game shit to do. But
Yeah.
then the video game shit you get me to do is
Yeah.
annoying as fuck.
Well,
So it's like,
yeah.
you know, I don't know.
No, I feel you. And this, and honestly, The Last of Us Part Two is the game I'm gonna point at as a comparison point here because this is where Naughty Dog is a level above everybody else, in my opinion. Is they know how to pace their story perfectly. If a moment requires combat, they will put it in. If it doesn't, they don't. They don't. Like there aren't. I never felt that way playing The Last of Us Part Two, where I'm like, oh, this combat encounter is unnecessary here. You know, like maybe in the sense that the game's too long, but it's not in the sense of narrative. I guess is what I'm getting
Yeah,
at. Is
yeah,
is is Santa Monica? I feel like is a little off on that. They don't seem to understand that like they need to let their story breathe in this moment. Like that whole section you're in to me, like frankly, I would have taken a majority of the combat out, like 80% of it probably.
A lot of it feels out of place because, like,
Yeah.
why are those monsters there? Like,
Oh, dude, for
you know what
real,
I'm
dude.
saying?
Are you doing the little errands part yet with her?
That's the part I'm doing right
That's
now.
what's so out of place. You're doing those and they're throwing combat encounters at you, and I'm like, dude, they're like right next to her encampment. Like, what do you what's like this doesn't make any sense. Like these things are literally like 100 feet away from where she lives, you know? It's like
Yeah,
I don't like it is really that part of the game is like frustrating because it's from a story perspective, it's one of my favorite sections of the game so far. But it's like, yeah, it's just marred with way too much combat. It's a section that took 2 or 3 hours to do for me that should have taken an hour to an hour and a half, you know?
yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's a common issue with this game is that a lot of sections of this game are longer than they need to be, you know? And that's kind of the main takeaway I'm taking from this game so far is that and I have this issue with Sony in general lately, like with their first party, because I say this about The Last of Us Part 2, this game, Horizon Forbidden West, these games are all too excuse me, hold on. Oh, nope. Okay, it's not gonna happen. I thought I was gonna sneeze. But yeah, these games are all like too long, you know, to me. Like they like there's too much bloat in them, you know. And The Last of Us Part 2 is the lowest offender of this, but you could have probably shaved 5 hours off that game and it would have been fine, you know. It wouldn't
yeah.
have changed much about it. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's a great game. I'm loving it. I'm honestly, as I'm getting deeper into it and starting to do a lot of the side stuff too. The side stuff is enjoyable. There's some enjoyable quests for sure. Um, they definitely upped some of the quality on that, I think, compared to the first game. But there's also just a lot of there's just a lot of shit to do in this game, and I don't like it's kind of weird. Like I don't need all of it, you know. Like I kind of wish this game was more linear at times, where it
Yeah.
was kind of more straightforward. Like I don't need like this game to full complete is probably 60 hours, you know, and like that's fucking insane, dude, for a game like this. That's like way too much in my opinion. So I don't know.
I,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
don't know. I saw an argument about not just about the God of War, but like it was a meme that was like, me when I see a game in 60 hours and just saw a dude really tired, and it was like me showing when I see a game that's only 20 hours long, it was like super happy, and I was like, and the person was saying like, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older or not, but like, yeah, and I think that was my biggest takeaway. Like, I think that's why Final Fantasy VII Remake was so perfect for
Oh
both
yeah.
of us.
Oh
That
yeah.
shit was like 25 hours.
Yep.
You can extend it to like 30 to 40 hours max, I think.
Yeah.
But you can get a lot done in like 20 to 25 hours. You got what you wanted out of it and you put it down.
Yep.
Um, and they just had the pacing so right in that game.
Yeah.
So I mean, I haven't got that far with God of War yet. I'm only like 10 hours into it. But I did just from that side quest that I did, that one side quest, I got the feeling like, oh, this is a big game. Like
Mhm.
this is a really big game.
Yeah.
And I just gotta wrap my head around it. So I think I am going to turn the difficulty down to normal and just play it to enjoy the story, some of the side content,
Mhm.
not try to go super try hard on it. I was going to try to platinum the game, but I think I just don't fucking care. I At this point in my life, I don't really care about platinums, bro.
Yeah.
Like I just don't, I
I
don't
might
care.
platinum this game. It depends on how involved it is. Like if it's actually going to take me 60 to 70 hours to platinum it, I might not. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it does get better going like from where you are after that section. There are some really good story points. But I will say it continues. Like I just did a section last night where the game you need to like go find a location and it's hidden. So the game sends you on this like wild goose chase to like 3 different locations and you don't find it until the last one and it's like why this game is 40 hours. Like, why are you doing this to me? Just let me find it on the first try. Like, I don't like why did you waste 15 minutes here? Like, I don't like that shit. It's like the kind of shit I just don't fucking like. I'm not understanding why some of this stuff is here, dude. Like, it's it's weird. Like that's what's so fucking weird about it cuz I don't have these problems with the first game. And maybe if I play it again, I would. Like I need to go replay it like cuz maybe I would have these issues, but I don't remember feel like dude, I fucking love the first one from 2018. Like it's like almost perfect to me and like I don't know. It just feels like they're they were focused on like going bigger a little bit, and I don't, with how much story is here, I think that was the wrong choice. You know, it's like it's
Yeah.
kind of bizarre. It's like bizarre to me. So I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
I
yeah,
don't know. I feel like we waited 4 years for like the next installment, right? Like
yeah,
the story to push forward, and I actually do like you know that you meet certain characters right off the bat. Like
yeah,
they've been
yeah,
talking about these characters forever, and we meet them and we get that payoff for 4 years. We wonder what these two characters were like,
yeah.
and we got a piece of their personality right off the bat.
Hmm.
Um, but after that, it's like, all right, now we gotta go through the same video game, anime, like every story bullshit ever.
Yeah, yeah,
People are very vague and they know answers, but they won't give it to you, and you're like, oh my god.
yeah,
So it's like, um, I just really want to get to the point, but I understand I have to fight for that. So I
yeah,
have to earn that as a player. So I will earn that. It's just to me, maybe I'm intentionally slowing myself down by playing on the hardest difficulty, and I
yeah.
will lower it. And maybe
You
next
are.
week,
You definitely are. Yeah, you definitely
yeah.
are. Yeah.
So maybe that's why I have such a not a negative condemnation, but I'm like really like iffy on it right now. It's like it's a chore when I play it. But
Yeah, because I
I'm
think
just going to turn the
you're probably
difficulty.
spending 30 minutes on combat encounters that you could be done with in like 5 minutes, on normal. So
Exactly.
it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, so
Exactly.
you're like elongating the game for yourself. So,
Yeah.
but and I will say the story, definitely after where you are, there is it picks up, and there is a kind of a almost left turn that happens, that is fucking really cool. I look forward to you getting there, because I definitely want to do. I think I want to do a spoiler cast for this game. Honestly, we haven't done one of those in a while, but like go like deep on this game, because I think there's already a lot to talk about, but there's going to be even more. And in terms of the good stuff, I do think the voice acting in this game is just it's like so fucking top notch. That I do want to call it out. And it's specific characters like Kratos is obviously great. But the kid playing Atreus, like I I really got to hand it to him, because when the game started and he started talking, I'm like, oh no, he's like a teen now. It's like he doesn't he's gonna be it's gonna be like that kind of he doesn't have the like, because teenage actors, like, generally speaking, are not great in most cases. And I gotta hand it to him though, like, he's fucking awesome, like, he does a fucking great job, dude. Like, it's like he really embodies that character like so fucking perfectly. And then Freya, like, dude, is like fucking awesome as well. Like, the voice actress for her is just like amazing. So yeah, I just want to shout that out. Any other things you want to talk about with this game?
No, no, that's it for right now.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we're definitely going to talk about it more, so we can move on. All right, what else are you playing?
So I'm playing Sonic Frontiers. I'm on the last island. I don't know. This game is definitely like a 7 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
That's gonna be my final rating, 6 or 7 out of 10. Because there's
yeah.
definitely some jank. There's definitely some things I need to improve on.
Hmm.
Um, but I just had fun with the game. I had fun with it, and I definitely see the flaws in the game. Uh, it's definitely one of those games. Like if you're not, I don't want to say if you're not a Sonic fan, don't play it. It's a game where if you're still okay on Sonic, play it, but you really have to go in it with an open mind. If you already have a negative connotation on Sonic, then this game's not going to change your opinion on Sonic, in my opinion. Um, and if you have a really positive opinion on Sonic, then this game will kind of affirm your actions or affirm your beliefs in Sonic or whatever the case may be. But I don't know. The game's just really it's good to me. The soundtrack is like I said, phenomenal. Uh, certain sections of the game kind of upset me. Like I'm really kind of over the open world aspect because it's like the same thing on each island. They switched up one thing for one island, but besides that, it's like the same thing.
Hmm.
The story is actually okay. The main story is not
Yeah.
that good, but the character interactions I think are really good. Like they're really good, especially like there's one part with like Tails, and he's like, "Yo, like all you do is save me," and Sonic is like, Sonic has like reassure him and stuff like that, but Tails is like really like, "No, all you do is fucking save me, bro. Like I need to like step up my game and stuff. And he even tells me at one point, like, yo, I think after this, I need to go off on my own for a bit. And like you never hear that kind of shit from like a Sonic game. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
that's
he
interesting.
he had like a self-reflecting moment, like I need to go off on my own and do my own shit for a while.
Yeah.
Um and then Knuckles and Sonic like have this like this dude bro mance thing going on. Like that was like always there, but they
Yeah.
like Knuckles was always like kind of off putting towards Sonic.
Yeah.
But it's like now they kind of embraced each other as like, yo, you're my best friend, but you're also my fucking rival at the same time. And they have that dichotomy with each other.
Mhm.
So it's really good. Like the voice acting is really good and everything like that. Um like, even Amy, who's like, yeah, maybe I'm not really too much in love with you, but like you're my friend. You know what I'm saying? Like you've been there for me and everything like that. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like
Mhm.
they actually had character development and they talk about the past games, like the Sonic Adventure games and everything like that. They
Huh.
talk about when they were doing in Sonic
That's
um
cool.
yeah, Sonic Forces and stuff like that. And in Sonic 1 through 3, they talk about, how they met on Angel Island and all that shit like that. So these characters like acknowledge the past games and stuff like that. I just thought it was really fucking cool. The character, not enough people talked about that in their reviews about
Mhm.
how good the character interactions were and how they developed and stuff. They kind of actually like in my opinion, like blew it off. It was like, oh, well, the game tried to have character development, but it wasn't like I said, not everything needs to be like Last of Us or God of War fucking character development, y'all. Like the shit was really good for a Sonic game, in my opinion.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think it's an okay game, like a 7 out of 10. Like I said, there's definitely some jank in the game. I am kind of pissed about how everybody's reaction towards the game, the community, and everything like that. Like I said, Elden Ring's not a perfect game, y'all. Like it had jank and shit like that,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
uh,
Oh, don't say that.
Pokemon for right. We have a clear example of Pokemon selling tens of millions of copies and still getting like IGN gave Pokemon Scarlet Violet a
Mhm.
6 because of all the glitches and stuff like that. And people tore them apart.
Yeah.
Like Nintendo fans tore them apart. But like Sonic, you know, I don't know. It's just weird. Like people are like, well, you kind of deserved it because it's a Sonic game. It's like, all right, bro. Like,
Mhm.
remember Mario Sunshine, y'all? But whatever. I digress.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. It's just weird. But yeah, I'm enjoying the game. There are some certain parts that frustrated me. Uh, that they need to clean up and get rid of and everything of that nature. But it's all good. Then my next game I've been playing was Apex Legends. I've been playing this solo,
Mhm.
and I think I just been playing it solo because no one's playing with me, and I am getting better. But I feel like I'll be a lot better with the actual squad.
Yeah.
Um, but
Well,
yeah, I'm like go 3 right now,
yeah.
so.
We're just kind of as a group, I think we're kind of I don't know. I just like Brad uninstalled it. I don't want to play it.
Yeah,
Snakes doesn't
and
want to play it. Andy doesn't want to play
yeah,
it. I think Jet is like the only one. You and Jet are like the only ones that actually really want to play it at all.
yeah, and I
So
understand that, and that's why I don't even say when I'm playing it. I just play it.
yeah, no,
Like I
I
just
get you. I get you. Right.
yeah. So
Um.
I totally get it though. Like I
Yeah.
mean, everybody's fed up with the way they've been treating this game and everything, and its users. Um, I tried to play other games and everything like that, but it just doesn't give me that. The
Yeah.
gunplay is just so fucking good. Like
It
it just doesn't give
is.
me that itch.
I know. Yeah, I know. No, I think the thing is this is what's happening right now. I think we're in the midst of I think like we're like between games, right? I think Apex is largely unless something major happens, like I think Apex is largely done right now for us. And
Yeah,
while that is a little sad, like we're like searching for another game. That's why we're playing League. That's why you're like looking at Dota. We're playing Overwatch. Like that is obvious, right? Like for the group.
yeah,
Because think about it, dude. Like since we started playing Apex, this has never happened. You know, never. Not for this long of a period of time where we're all like we're playing other games together. We're all like fucking like playing all sorts of weird shit together. You know, like that we normally don't play. Like we are I think we're in the midst of breaking up with Apex. Like that is like literally what I think is happening right
yeah,
now. You know?
yeah.
So
I don't know. I don't want it to be another PUBG situation, but it's like it's getting there to the point where it's like it's too far gone to fix the games where I think legitimately PUBG we were just bad. But like for Apex, we are like legitimately good at the game. Like I'm
Yeah.
not even trying to toot our own horns, but like we're legitimately good at this game. Where I'm playing with like diamonds and platinum people, and they're like, "Why are you fucking gold?" You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I feel like our team and everything like that is really good as well. But yeah, we're just over it.
Right.
And unfortunately, Apex and Respawn and EA, they just don't fucking care. So I'm slowly breaking up with the game myself. And I'm just probably gonna go back to League at
Yeah.
this point. Like, 'cause
Yeah.
I actually had the best time, not the best time of my life on League, but it was me, Brad, and then Brad's brother and his girlfriend,
Mm.
and we were playing League. And it
I'm
was a
sure that
five
was a lot
man.
of fun.
It
I
was.
was waiting to play all night, and it's never
I thought
no
I thought
slot
they
ever
told
opened
you.
up. Yeah.
But yeah, it was really fun. So I mean, we had some frustrating games, we had some good games. But it was just fun overall. Um, yeah, I mean, that's when, in my opinion, that's when MOBAs are at their best when you have like a full squad of just people to play with that you know.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I'm at this point, like, dude, I like, as much like, I really wanted to play League the other night. Like, I was actually kind of annoyed that there was no space for me because, like, I was thinking about it like all day. I'm like, all right, man, like, okay, I know what I need to build with Varus now. Like, I know the items I need to build. Like, I don't like, I'm not gonna get fucked up this time. Like, I'm actually gonna build them right and like, because like you were saying when we were playing that first night, like last week, we lost. I think we lost every game we played, which has been my experience with League since trying to play with you guys.
mhm.
But the thing is like you were saying, I was feeling myself starting to get around my head around the combat of a team fight, and that is like the hardest thing to figure out in a MOBA, because it's fucking chaos and you don't know what everybody can do either. So that's
Exactly.
always an issue. But I was doing good in the fights. It's just I didn't have the right item build, so I
Hmm.
wasn't contributing in those fights as much as I should have been.
Yeah,
And now that like so I feel like I want to like that's why I wanted to play because I was hoping by the end of the night we could get to the point where like we're actually winning games a little bit.
yeah,
So I like I want to keep playing and I'm glad you looked at Dota as well cuz I am not opposed to playing both, to be honest. They're
yeah.
so
I feel like they're
different from each
different.
other
They're
that
different enough where I can balance it out.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think so. I think the issue with Dota is like or with playing two of them is that they're so complex. We're gonna have to get really into both of them.
yeah,
So, but I mean, honestly, I'm down for that. As much like I said, I'm like Brad's down for both. I'm down for both. You're down for both. Jet is only really down for League, but maybe we can convince him to play Dota if we get enough people. And then Brad has a couple people that want to play Dota as well. So I feel like we have enough people that we can have a full 5 on both games.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm down to play. I mean, this weekend, honestly, even I like we were gonna do board games, but Jet can't come. So, given that, I'm gonna be available on Saturday. So maybe we play
I
some
should
League,
be available too.
Dota.
I'm probably not gonna be available the first half of Saturday, but definitely the later half of Saturday.
Me. I mean, yeah, we never get on in the morning, anyways. So,
Yeah. So.
um,
But yeah, I don't know the game. Even like I said, even though we have frustrating games, uh, Brad has gotten a lot better. Jet has gotten better. He's starting to get his groove back. And then we had Brad's brother and his girlfriend playing. So they were on Smurf accounts, and I was on my Smurf account. So we were like getting everybody the same level, and it was just pretty fun. I mean, sometimes we got steamrolled. Like I think we got steamrolled like once or twice. But besides that, we actually won all of our games. We were on a win streak. So it was pretty
mhm,
cool.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing though.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, I've been playing. I mean, League, Genshin, still also. Not much to say. Well, I guess with Genshin, I just want to say, I think I
Hmm.
said this a few weeks ago, but that I hate the third region, and I want to reiterate how much I hate the third region in this game. I don't know what went wrong in this era of Genshin Impact, but dude, the developers here like they were in full on gimmick brain mode with the design of
Yeah,
these areas. because Inazuma is a series of 6 different islands, and all but one of these islands have this fucking gimmick, that it's not like a mechanical gimmick that you have to like adhere to. It's environmental gimmicks where there's a fucking constant lightning storm on one of the islands where lightning strikes are fucking crashing down right in front of you constantly, and fucking they hit you and do fucking half your health, and like fucking trying to traverse like anywhere is a nightmare. You have to do, and for all of these, you have to do like a world quest to eliminate whatever that gimmick is. And then there's another island that has this giant like fucking dome around it that blocks your access to the entire fucking dome until you do the world quest. Like you can't even explore the whole island when you get there. Then there's another one that I just got to that has a giant kind of a soft dome in the middle that is like a combination of the two islands that I just mentioned, where you're in it and you take constant fucking damage when you're in it, and there's like a lightning storm going on shooting lightning strikes down. It's just like so fucking annoying, dude. Like it's like I don't know what crack they were on when they were making this, that they thought this shit would be fun. Or maybe this is like a like I don't know, maybe this goes deeper because this is a Chinese company and Inazuma is like supposed to be a Japan like Japanese corollary within the game world. So maybe this is some like dig at Japan that I don't fucking get or something, because dude, it's fucking horrible. Like I hate this area. I can't wait to get out of it. Because the first region and the second region are nothing like this. There's none of this bullshit. Like you just run around and you like scale things and you find chests and you do little puzzles and you fight some battles, and it's like fucking it's fun, like running around and exploring in the game. But it's like Inazuma just sucks dick like constantly. So I'm like I'm just trying to grind through it a little bit every day, and yeah, it's like when because the fucked up part is there's like these two underground areas that were like side areas that they added between major zones, and they're fucking awesome, dude. Like I don't like, it's so weird the contrast. Like they're fucking like this one they call the chasm, and there's this whole underground area, and it's like this giant fucking cave system that is like a giant like mine that got abandoned, and it's like got all this like architecture and shit, and there's like an ancient civilization that had a city down there and shit. It's like fucking awesome, dude. You know, like I'm
Yeah.
just like I don't. It's weird. It's just so weird because I don't know. Like these things were not developed in a vacuum away from each other. Like the chasm came out while like pretty soon after Inazuma was finished. You know, so it's like I don't know. It's weird, but I'm still enjoying it. I just need to get through that. And I think the fourth region, Sumeru, from what I've seen of it so far, seems like a really fucking awesome region, and I cannot wait to explore it. So I'm looking forward to that. The only other game I'm playing is Tactics Ogre Reborn. So I was actually kind of like mainlining this last week up until Friday, where I was playing it and I got really fucking frustrated with this game. So this game's kind of a mixed bag, dude. Like I love Tactics Ogre. It's literally one of my top 5 games of all time, and it's just kind of weird to me though that Square, every time they touch this game, they just cannot get it right. You know, like 100% right.
Hmm.
Because the PSP remake was a fun game, but it had so many issues that kind of ruined the game over time that I will never play that game again, that version of that game again. And this game, while is better than the PSP remake in many, many, many ways, and I don't think this is a game that I'm never gonna play again, but it's one that they made some changes that I like cannot get behind in big ways. So they added this level cap system called your union level, where your characters are capped at a certain level at certain parts of the story, and you cannot go above that cap until you beat a major story battle. Um, which unlocks your cap further. And the thing with this system, I don't know why they put this in. I think they wanted to avoid what you could do in the original version of the game, where you could level to 50 like right out of the gate and max your characters, and then like, you know, whatever. I mean, it wasn't really a smart idea to do that actually in the old game, but whatever. I think they wanted to avoid that, but also I think they wanted to use it to keep the balance of the game more predictable, so you couldn't like out level content and things like that, or you couldn't out level story battles. And it's a really frustrating mechanic because every time a level cap unlocks, it's usually about 3 levels worth of cap. And the battle you're in, like, so let's say I'll use the example that frustrated me here. So I beat a story battle and my cap was 22, level 22. And when I beat the battle, it unlocked my cap to level 25. So I go to the next battle, and all my characters are level 22. So, because you don't unlock the cap until after the battle's over. So when you get experience, you're at the cap. You get nothing for that battle. So your characters stay at whatever the previous cap was. So I was level 22, and I go to the next battle, the next story battle, and the enemies are suddenly level 24 and 25. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Like, and I'm like struggling to win the battle because I'm like 3 levels behind with every character I have, And
Hmm.
it's like I have to go like fucking grind, It's like you should go grind training battles, which give you nothing other than experience, by the way, which sucks because that's another change they made. They took random battles out of the game, which I'm okay with that, but they replaced it with training battles that, like I just said, give you nothing but experience. They're literally there to just waste your time to gain experience. Like you don't get any loot from it, you don't get any money, like so it's like random battles before used to give you all of that. They give you money, items, and experience. So there was more reasons to do them than just gaining levels. Um,
Yeah.
so this change is like really frustrating because I beat that. I ended up beating that battle though without grinding. And then I get to the next battle after that, and this is the second to last battle of the chapter, or third to last battle of the chapter, I think. And the enemies are already at the level cap. They're level 25, and the boss for the level is level 27. And I'm running around with characters that are level 21, 22, 23. This fucking boss, dude, I fucked around with it just for fun. And she was fucking one-shotting my characters. Like, it was fucking absurd. She had like 1.5 times my statistics, like stats. Like my guys, like the best I have like 120 strength. She had like 187 or something. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking? Like 5 levels, and she's got 60 more strength than me. Like, what is that? So I'm like, it like such was such a jarring hard stop moment for me that I had to put the game down. I'm like, this is like I don't know what they were thinking here with this. Like it because it just like I'm starting to see this online. I am reading about this on Reddit and stuff, and on Twitter. Like people are complaining about this. This is like the most common complaint about this game, and it kind of sucks because the rest of it overall is really good. Like, most of the changes they made are super positive. And this one thing is like completely derails the pacing of the game, in my opinion. And it kind of forces you to grind in a way that I don't like either. I don't want to grind to a level cap and then I get no experience for any battles I fight after that. Like that like sucks, dude. Like it doesn't feel rewarding, to play the game that way. But the game forces you to. Because these bosses, like, dude, they're fucking uber powered. Like they like put them on steroids in this version of the game to make this shit as challenging as fucking possible. Where they like literally one shot your characters a lot of the time. And I get it. I get they want that challenge because Tactics Ogre has always struggled with balance. Like later in the game actually gets easier the longer you go into it. Like it tends to because your characters scale so absurdly later in the
Yeah.
game that they just like you were the one shotting everything in the old versions of the game. And so I get what they were trying to do here, but they swung the pendulum like too far in the other direction. And I don't mind the challenge of it. I'm actually really enjoying that piece, but it's just this like restrictive nature of the storyline right now that I find like really off-putting. So I put the game down. That's when I started playing God of War, and I'm gonna finish God of War before I come back to this. I think ultimately. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it right now. So, but all right, That's it for what I've been playing. We got to move here. We got some news to
Yeah.
get through. We got one big story that we're probably gonna be talking about for a fucking hour. So, let's start with the first story. Montreal actually mentioned it earlier a little bit, but Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. So this is just something we wanted to cover because this game came out while we were out, like while we were off, and it is unbelievable some of the shit that we have been seeing online, clips of this game running on Switch, because it does not run well on Switch at all. It is having some of the worst performance issues I've ever seen a Nintendo game have. From what we've seen, frame rate issues, bugs, graphical errors, things like characters clipping into each other in really weird, goofy ways, and stuff like that. That I just like, I cannot believe that a Nintendo game has actually released in this state, because Nintendo is so known for the polish and quality of their games, you know? Um,
Hmm.
so, I mean, Montreal, what did you think of all this stuff?
Um, yeah, it was really weird. That Nintendo released the game in this state. To be honest with you, and I guess it's more people are trying to separate Nintendo and Game Freak, but like to me, um, it's a quote. I forgot what the quote was, but basically it's saying like you hire people if you're the CEO of a company or whatever, or entrepreneur, you hire
Yeah.
people that are just like you. So if something happens or whatever, the people you can't say it's not the leadership's fault, or it's not the leadership that should say, well, Justin was doing this and that's why the company is bad. It's like,
Hmm.
no, the company's bad because you hired, or no, just in bad in general. They don't care about, if Justin made a mistake. And that's
Hmm.
how I look at Game Freak or studios in general. Uh, like if they're under an umbrella, which they're under the Nintendo umbrella, and they always have that certificate of Nintendo quality approved or whatever the fuck. So for Pokemon Company and for Nintendo to release a product like this, to let Game Freak release a product like this is crazy to me. I don't know if the team didn't have enough work time, development time. That's what it looks
Hmm.
like. It looks like the team didn't have enough development time because
Yeah.
even I was shocked when this game was turning around right after Arceus and was like releasing. I'm like, both me and you were like,
Yeah.
what?
Right. I know. And
And
Arceus runs better than this game from everything it looks like, you know?
yeah. So while the glitches and bugs are funny as hell, I think they should let this one cook in the oven a little bit more. They should have delayed this game, but I think they really wanted to get this out before the quarter ended. Um, and
Hmm.
it proved to their success because the game sold over like 10 million copies or some crazy shit in like the first day or
Hmm.
first weekend or something. But I don't know. I don't even know what is the solution at this point. Because I even tweeted like
Mm.
it's over. Like there is no solution anymore. We are way past a solution for the states that games get released now.
Yeah.
We kind of pushed back with Cyberpunk, but then everybody came back to it, and I understand that argument. Like you got to get over the shit or whatever. So I'm not going to harp on Cyberpunk, but um,
Right.
I don't even know what you could have done with this game. Like people bought it, and it
It's the
didn't have the
fastest
same
selling game in the franchise, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it didn't have the same reception as Cyberpunk. And I think that's another thing too. Like this game is almost Cyberpunk levels as far as bugs and everything like that. People weren't taking it back in mass droves. Nintendo is offering refunds for it actually. But for some reason, like everyone's letting this game go off the hook, whereas Cyberpunk, everyone tore that game apart. And I don't see the
Mhm.
difference between the two games besides one's Pokemon and one's Cyberpunk. That's it.
That is the difference.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's just weird to me how we have a bias for the game. And a lot of people are starting to recognize that bias, but at the same time, a lot of people aren't recognizing that bias.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And another thing is I want to like there's a difference between a game being really good
Mm.
or really fun rather, but still having a lot of issues. Like
Mm.
I said with Sonic, like the game is not perfect. I have fun with it, but it's a lot of jank. It's a 7 out of 10 for me. Now, you may feel the same way about Pokemon. Like, I've heard the game is fun. The combat stuff I've seen, the improvements I've seen, I want to play the game, but I don't want to play the game in the state that it's in right now. I'd rather them patch it up for a couple months and then I come to it. But uh
Mm.
the game, from what I hear, is actually really fucking it's probably the best Pokemon game they've ever made as
Yeah.
far as like content and combat and everything like that.
Mhm.
But for other certain improvements, like I don't know, we Pokemon gets a lot of slack and it's kind of weird to me, but I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's bizarre that this game like could possibly be this bad that they're okay with releasing this. Like it's wild to me, dude. Like this is a first for Nintendo, man, that I can think of. I mean, I'm trying to think, dude. Like, has there ever been a game that was this poor from a technical perspective? Like, obviously they've released bad games before, but
Yeah.
like, I cannot think of one, dude.
I
For
mean,
the
the
life of
only
me.
game I can get close to at this point is Mario Sunshine. That's it.
Yeah,
And you had to look really hard for Mario Sunshine
yeah,
stuff.
I agree. Yeah, right. Like, I don't. There are issues in that game now that you bring it up. Like, there definitely are, but it's not like to the point that the game's like unplayable. You know, it's like it's
Yeah.
honestly a lot of it's shit you actually kind of have to seek out almost
Yeah.
in that game, and so I don't. Yeah, I just I think, and also some weird things I've seen, like it's almost like they took steps back from some of the stuff in Arceus, where because you know how in that game, like Pokeballs, you could like just throw a Pokeball at a Pokemon in the wild, and you would either catch
Yeah.
it or you wouldn't. You didn't have to
Mm.
fight it in combat to catch it. And they took that out. That isn't in like Scarlet Violet. You have to catch Pokemon in combat the way you did the old way, I think.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah, and it's
weird.
like I don't get that because that's like the most. That was, dude. That was like the best part of Arceus, and the reason I kept playing it so long, dude. You know how fucking awesome it was to find like a Chimchar out in the wild, and you're like, oh my fucking god, dude, and you're like trying to make sure you don't fuck it up, and like it runs away. It's like,
Mhm.
and you catch it. Like that was like the most rewarding part of that game, and I don't like the way Pokemon makes you catch Pokemon is so cumbersome. Like that's why I've never actually tried to catch them all because just the act of going into battle and fucking whittling their health down and then paralyzing them and sleeping them, and then throwing Pokeballs at them, and then you probably still won't catch them depending on what the Pokemon is. It's like that shit fucking is so old at this point. Like I fucking hate that stuff, dude. Like so I don't know. Like that part of that's disappointing, obviously, and then just the other stuff with the technical stuff. But the game itself sounds like it's actually pretty good overall. I like the fact that there are adventures outside of the gym battles that they actually like put storylines in this game
Yeah.
that isn't
Yep.
you just doing the gym battles. There are two other paths you can take, and you need to do all three of them to beat the game. But I actually really like that fact, so that is really appealing to me. So I will definitely play this game. It's just not going to be soon.
Yeah.
It'll probably be later next year when some of the issues are fixed.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at. I said January, but I don't think the issues are going to be fixed by January. So,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of other games on my plate, so I'm not really too pressed to get it right now.
Or wait until they come out with the revision, version of the games that they didn't do for Sword
Yeah,
and Shield, actually. But
you're right. They didn't do it. That's weird.
yeah, I would imagine there's a decent chance that they're going to do it for these two, especially given the state that they're in right now. So,
Yeah, I might just wait for that then.
just
Yeah.
wait for that as well. So,
Yeah.
all right, Marshall, let's move on to our big story for this week. So this kind of came out last week. So we've talked about this a lot ad nauseum, right? The Activision Blizzard acquisition by Microsoft. The CMA in Europe, in the UK, has been scrutinizing this heavily, and this is the first like major governmental blocker that Microsoft has hit, and this is not resolved still. So they released a statement like earlier in the month of November, and then so what came out last week were the rebuttals from Microsoft and Sony. Both of them had submit written documentation, kind of putting their arguments forth on what the CMA released. And these documents are big. The Sony one is 22 pages, and the Microsoft one is 111 pages. But if you're into video games, I would sincerely, like, you're into what we talk about on the show, like the industry and the way things move. This is one of the these two documents are some of the most fascinating shit I have ever seen. Like in game news, like these companies are talking about shit at a very in a way that they were revealing information they do not reveal to the public, because this shit's all public. You can go find these documents online. We have them both, and we're going to go through some of it here. So I'd highly recommend that if you're interested in this stuff. It's definitely worth a read. So let's start with the Sony one, and then we'll get into the Microsoft one. We both kind of combed these through and found the most interesting pieces to kind of talk about here. So Let me find my place here. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of reading in this section, and then we're going to kind of discuss what they talk about here. So, um, these are the first points that Sony kind of talks about that are important here. So, quote, the transaction is a game changer that poses a threat to an industry enjoyed by hundreds of millions of consumers. Activision's content, in particular, its blockbuster franchise Call of Duty, one of the most successful franchises of all time, that for 20 years has consistently been the largest annualized AAA premium franchise in the games market, is irreplaceable for gaming platforms. As the decision found, it is especially important for attracting gamers to the platform, and its importance cannot be captured by market shares alone. The transaction would put this content under Microsoft's sole control, giving it an unprecedented content advantage at a point when the industry is at a critical inflection point in its evolution. So, Montreal, how do you feel about the urgency with Sony is talking about Call of Duty and Activision?
Uh, to be honest with you, I feel like I feel like they're overestimating Call of Duty. I feel like Call of Duty is actually on a decline. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they're gonna go after they make Modern Warfare, the remake of Modern Warfare 3. Like, where are they gonna go from here? You know,
Either because there won't be a game next year. So
exactly. Um, so I don't know. I think they're overestimating that aspect of it, in my opinion.
yeah. Well, so the next piece, the next bullet right after this, they say, quote, post transaction, Microsoft would have the ability and incentive to exclude or restrict rivals, including PlayStation and PlayStation Plus, from having access to Call of Duty. The decision identifies 5 recent Microsoft acquisitions of game studios where, shortly after the acquisition in question, Microsoft changed the business model of the acquired studios and withdrew new titles from competing platforms. As the CMA found, Microsoft has a pattern of acquiring development studios and making their upcoming games exclusive to Xbox. Given the significance of Activision's titles, Microsoft would have an even stronger incentive to make them exclusive to Xbox and Game Pass post transaction. And then, in fact, Microsoft does not contest that it intends making Activision content exclusive to Game Pass and denying PlayStation Plus access to that content. So, what do you think of this? I mean, nothing here, in my opinion, is false. Like, they're not saying anything incorrect. These are all things that Microsoft could do, and they are correct about what they've done in the past with like Bethesda and many of the other, like Obsidian, many other studios they've acquired in recent years. But what do you make of that part of the statement?
I think it's absolutely true. I mean, so there is a statement that kind of correlates, validates that statement.
Yeah, which we'll get
Uh,
there. We'll get there later. It's later in the document.
yeah, I mean, from on my side, I just wanted to like kind of piggyback off of that because it kind of,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it really kind of hits that one, where they kind of acknowledge at 1.4 on the Microsoft document that Game Pass is more attractive to gamers. It makes Xbox, which is in third place, more competitive against PlayStation and Switch, and expands the overall game market.
Mm-hmm.
So, and to me, in my opinion, that's a good argument for PlayStation because PlayStation's like, yeah, they're in the third place. They would do anything they need to do to get in first place. So for them saying that they won't do that would be really against their business model of being in first place and against the practices of business in the first place. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't you
Yeah.
make these, exclusive or whatever? So I think Sony actually is making a really good point there.
Yeah, and I think ultimately Sony's biggest concern is the control of Call of Duty that Microsoft will have. That is like a key through line through most of what most of their statements is. They don't I don't think they care about Activision at large. Like, they don't give a shit about Blizzard. I don't think they care about King or any of that shit. It's literally Call of Duty that is the thing they're worried about, and they clearly disagree with you that Call of Duty is on the decline. Which, I mean, given what happened Modern Warfare 2, right now they're correct. Like, Modern Warfare 2 is the biggest Call of Duty launch ever. So
Yeah.
it's that kind of is what it is right now. But the future of it is kind of in question. I mean, you're right. Like, next year, there's going to be supposedly going to be a DLC pack for Modern Warfare 2 that is sort of pseudo like a full game. and then there will be a new entry in 2 years. So we'll see about that. But I think their concern is valid though, because Microsoft, I think it's very clear Microsoft plans eventually to make Call of Duty exclusive. Like, I don't think it's gonna happen now. I don't think it's gonna happen. Like, we're gonna talk about this later. There's a point in here where they offered Sony a 10-year deal of Call of Duty like access, like it'll be on their platform for 10 years, and Sony refused that. But the fact that they're willing to offer that means that they're willing to have COD on PlayStation for that long, right? But
Yeah.
that is enough time for them though to mitigate the risks of taking it off PlayStation, because they can't take it off PlayStation now. That is like, and Microsoft literally says this in part of their statement, I think. Like, it would be fucking suicidal to the business of Activision and Microsoft with this acquisition to take Call of Duty off PlayStation right now. Like, that would be so fucking stupid. Like, but
Mm-hmm.
I think Microsoft's long-term view is that they want to integrate it into Game Pass and get people over that way, and then eventually get to the point where the market share of Sony with Call of Duty is low enough that they could conceivably take it away, and then take players, even more players from Sony than they already have, right? Like, it's a more of a potential long-term strategy that I think that's what they're going for. So
Yeah.
I think Sony's fear of that is well placed. Like, I would be afraid of that as well if I were them. I think part of what they're doing here, though, is more of a delaying tactic. They're trying to delay this deal to buy themselves time to either prepare other games, services, strategies, bolster their own subscription service as well, because you know damn well the second that they can, Microsoft's going to put Call of Duty on Game Pass, right? So, and
Yeah.
that is going to have a big impact. And there are some statistics in here related to that we will get into in a bit that are revealing of why Sony's so scared, right, of this. So, continuing on. So the next point, quote, Microsoft's response to the decision claims that the CMA's case rests on self-serving statements by SIE. SIE statements are not self-serving. They reflect genuine and evidence concerns about a tech titan buying up irreplaceable content at incontestable prices to tip competition to itself. So this one is, I think, I mean, obviously it's a statement in and of itself. I think this is definitely true, though. This is something that Microsoft in general as a corporation has a history of doing in multiple sectors. They've done this all over the place, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the past. So again, like, this is another point well taken. I think this is well argued by Sony that like there is legitimate concern here to be had. Gaming is a relatively new industry that Microsoft inserted itself into 20 years ago, and for them to do something like this now, they're starting to wave their money around in a way that no one else can compete with. And like, incontestable prices is the main point I want to make, like, point here. No one else can buy Activision like this. No one else in gaming can do this. Like, this is incontestable, is literally the truth, in this context. So it's like, that is like, that's their main point. So what do you think?
No, I agree. Yeah, that point's inconceivable. I mean, I remember they tried to buy out Slack for their
Yeah.
chat services and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, Microsoft will do what Microsoft has to do. Uh, they brought out Skype. I
Yeah.
mean, they had Skype wasn't a part of the system, and then they bought it out, and then it slowly died. But that's because, like, I guess the advances in video chatting
Mm-hmm.
kind of integrating into Teams and stuff like that. So, I mean, they're totally right. I don't like that they have the ability to do that. I just rather them make good games and gain a audience that way. But I mean, it hasn't been going that well, so they gotta do other means. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they definitely have that ability, and I don't see. If I was a judge in that case, I'm like, yeah, you guys are making really good points that Microsoft has
Mm-hmm.
this ability.
Okay,
They
so
can
moving on.
easily monopolize the game or the
Yeah.
game industry if they wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Right. It could be the beginning of that. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So the next point here is Microsoft. So, quote, Microsoft's core argument is that the transaction cannot harm competition because PlayStation is currently more popular than Xbox. This contention is misconceived. Microsoft's argument is particularly misplaced when looking beyond consoles and continuing the impact of the transaction on the two other areas assessed by the decision: multi-game subscription services, where Microsoft leads, and cloud gaming, where Microsoft has a well-established position. Multi-game subscription and cloud gaming are at an early stage of its development, and Microsoft's conduct could affect all current and potential rivals. And this is another key, I think, another key point. Again, well argued here that Microsoft is so far ahead when it comes to Game Pass, and it's the one place they are really far ahead, that this purchase could literally take everyone out that has a subscription service like at the fucking knees. Like, Sony can't offer anything of the level of Call of Duty on PlayStation Plus, their PlayStation Plus service, you know? And frankly, they refuse to even offer their first party stuff day and date on the service. So they can't even compete. They're not even competing on that level, but to add Call of Duty suddenly it just becomes a joke. Like, there's like the value proposition is like so lopsided in Microsoft's favor. It's like not even remotely, like, it's just laughable. So I think, again, this is another valid concern as well. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I mean, we were even laughing when Sony released their services and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Game Pass is just it's even getting people who don't have an Xbox, they're getting Xboxes, and then even if you don't have an Xbox, if you don't have Game Pass on PC, I don't know why it's no disadvantage to you. Besides, I guess you gotta use the Microsoft market or some shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, yeah, I just don't. The advantages of Game Pass are so astronomical that I understand Sony's plight, where they're like, "This is crazy."
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
which is funny because I was reading. I didn't put it in the document, but I was reading the document. And actually, I did put it in there. And Microsoft's philosophy is that Game Pass in reality has no real market power. It's a prerequisite for hypothetical foreclosure strategy.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's not a real big deal. It has no real market power, which is interesting to me that they're being so up in front. They're trying to diminish their quality or their product when it's actually like, we all know that product is like really fucking good.
Yeah. Which it's hilarious to hear a company like belittle themselves like this, because it's like funny to read this, right? Like, when internally in Microsoft they're probably talking about Game Pass like a roaring success,
Yeah.
for Xbox. It's like, it's fucking, it is really funny. So next thing I wanted to highlight here is there were some statistics that we're going to get into, but here's the first one. So they said in the UK, Activision and Microsoft's titles account for 30 to 40% of minutes played on consoles in the UK. So it's only in the UK, but still, that is fucking significant, dude. And I wonder
repeat that one more time. Repeat that one more time. Sorry.
Activision and Microsoft's titles account for
Mhm.
30 to 40% of minutes played on consoles in the UK. So only in the United Kingdom. But
Okay.
which obviously this is where they're arguing all this, right? I would be curious what those statistics are worldwide, of course, but that does show, though, like 40% is crazy, because like, what would Sony be in the UK? For minutes play, like think about this. Most of this is probably Activision, right? Like, the idea that they account for 30 to 40% of playtime in a country that's fucking nuts, dude. Like, that is nuts. Because even if Sony takes another 40 or 50%, and, like, let's say Nintendo takes 10%, which we know that's probably not right, like, that's pretty substantial. Like, that's powerful. That makes Microsoft suddenly, they're on an even playing field with Sony, at least in the UK. And
I
this could be
find that
true
really
elsewhere.
hard to believe. Like, I would find that really hard to believe, especially like looking at the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to my numbers, I just find that point really, really hard to believe.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane if that's true.
But these are numbers that the CMA themselves found. Like, they did their own research into this, and polling and things like that. Which is why they released the original statement they did of their concern about this deal. So, now that doesn't necessarily mean they're unimpeachable facts. Like, there could be some incorrect assumptions that were made with some of the ways they were conducting this research. Who knows? But like that
Yeah, because
is,
like
yeah.
my question is, will they count? Are they saying consoles or are they saying Microsoft products?
No, they're saying all console gaming time.
Okay, so
30 to
this is
40% of all console
strictly
gaming
console
time
gaming. Okay,
in
because
the UK.
I was gonna say if they're saying Microsoft, I mean you can count playing WoW in Windows. You know what I'm saying?
No, they're not counting that. No, no, no.
Okay,
They're saying games so on console, meaning like Switch, Xbox, PlayStation. They're not counting PC.
okay, all
Or at
right.
least
That's
that would be my assumption. I don't think they would consider a PC a console. So,
okay. That makes sense.
but that's still nuts, though, isn't it?
It
Like,
still doesn't make sense because it's still wild to me. But this is the UK, but that's still
yeah.
wild to me because
But
I
one
always thought
publisher is
UK.
that powerful in there. Like one third party publisher is that fucking powerful because Microsoft, like their playtime is probably a fucking joke in relative to Activision's, right? Like,
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. And the UK is usually more culturally diverse as far as gaming than
mhm.
the North America.
Yeah, yeah,
So I don't know. That's weird.
yeah. Okay, moving on. We're gonna get into some redacted stuff. So there's redacted items on these. And this is fun. We can do some fill in the blanks. So, this is the first one, and this one's fucking wild. So post transaction, so Microsoft would control irreplaceable content that drives user engagement. Post transaction, Microsoft would control Activision content that drives blank times as much user engagement on PlayStation than all of SIE's best performing first party titles put together. Blank of that engagement is driven by Call of Duty alone. And the number drives blank times is like that's a thick number, dude. That might be triple digits. Like that's fucking I doubt it, but still, even if it's double digits, that's fucking nuts. Like I mean, because PlayStation's games on PlayStation, I know we're comparing single player to probably multiplayer here a lot in most cases, but Sony's games are popular. It's like like I'm sure there are thousands of people playing most of their first party stuff at any given time. So that's still pretty nuts.
Yeah, I don't even know what the fill in the blanks is. Some of this stuff I think Sony's reaching. I mean, they have to, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just find it hard to believe right now at this given climate that Microsoft is doing anything. And I understand, like, if they
Well,
took it away.
this is just Activision. They're not talking about Microsoft.
Okay, yeah,
Because
Activision.
remember, they have this data. This is true data. Like they have this data. Like they're talking about Activision games on their platform, straight up. So they have all the telemetry of how much gameplay is happening on COD and all of Activision stuff that's on their console.
Okay,
So they're
wait, and
talking
that
about usage data that they have of gameplay on their console there. So
yeah,
these
it's probably.
things are facts. Like I don't like I
Oh
take
yeah,
them as facts. Like
yeah.
so.
In that case, then, but I think it's still 100% like triple digits. I don't think it's double digits. I think that shit's triple digits.
That's fucking
I don't know. I
there's
don't
no
know what
way,
it
dude.
is, but
There's no way. That's insane,
I
dude.
think it's triple digits, bro.
I mean,
I think it's triple.
I could see
The
it. I mean,
amount
you're
of
right.
people
Yeah, yeah.
that play Call of Duty, no, the amount of people that play Call of Duty is insane. There are people who will just buy one game and all their games they play
Yeah.
is just Call of Duty
Yeah.
on PlayStation 4 or
Yeah.
PlayStation 5 if you have a
Yeah.
PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
And that's it. I know so many people like that.
Ugh. Dude, I want to know so bad. Like out of everything in here that's redacted, like I want to know so bad what those numbers are. Like, dude, I like it. I just want to know. Morbidly curious. Like Sony is literally admitting here that they have nothing that comes anywhere near close to COD. Like and like oh, that's fucking nuts. So continuing on, there's even more crazy shit that they talk about like right after this. So Call of Duty quote Call of Duty gamers are exceptionally important to PlayStation. In 2021, blank million PlayStation users played Call of Duty, accounting for around blank percent of the PlayStation user base and spending blank billion on Call of Duty titles and associated game add-ons. More importantly, these users generated an estimated annual platform spending of around blank billion on hardware, peripherals, subscriptions, games, and other PlayStation services. This represents around blank percent of total spending on hardware, peripherals, subscriptions, games, and other PlayStation services. And those percentages, they look like they're probably double digits, like low double digits, like in the early teens. That's kind of what it looks like based on how big the fucking redacted thing is. But in terms of the billions, no idea. But man, the idea that it's
No,
billions at all is crazy. So
it's not crazy to me. Like
I
I
mean, it's
believe it. I
not. I mean,
100%.
with how many how many copies they sell, for sure. I mean, you have to think about that. It's microtransactions, right? Is also driving a lot of that. So that makes sense. It does make sense. It's just when you're putting it on paper like this and quantifying it, though, it's like how crazy it actually is what's crazy. You know, that Call of Duty is this fucking successful is like fucking nuts. You know, I don't know, to just have it laid out like that. So
No, it's insane. I don't know. This franchise is never gonna die.
yeah, you still think it's
Like
declining? Do you still feel like it's declining?
I feel like I'm to the point where if Call of Duty declines, it's the end of the gaming industry as we know it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So continuing on. Um, let's see. What's the next section here? Let me just I'll just read this one out real quick too. So Call of Duty, quote, Call of Duty is different and more important to gaming platforms than the other games Microsoft mentions. Call of Duty is different to the other games that Microsoft mentions, such as Rocket League, NBA 2K, Minecraft, and GTA. Call of Duty has the highest number of monthly active users among the top 10 gaming franchises in 2020 and 2021, and has a relentless release cycle with multiple studios with thousands of game developers working on different versions of COD at any one time to maintain yearly releases. And it is unique among AAA games because of its popularity, loyalty, and the enormous resources Activision commits to developing the franchise. Each release takes around 3 to 5 years to develop with budgets of over $300 million. Um, and then they go on to say an SIE survey conducted in the normal course of business finds that Call of Duty has the highest gamer familiarity blank percent, awareness blank percent, and ownership blank percent of all third-party video game franchises globally. Likewise, as the CMA has found, Microsoft's and Activision's documents discussed in the decision attest to the importance of Call of Duty. And then this part's also interesting. Call of Duty is not replicable. Call of Duty is too entrenched for any rival, no matter how well equipped, to catch up. It has been the best. It has been the top selling game for almost every year in the last decade. And the first person shooter genre, it is overwhelmingly the top selling game. Other publishers do not have the resources or expertise to match its success. To give a concrete example, Electronic Arts is about to get body slammed here. One of the largest third-party developers after Activision has tried for many years to produce a rival to Call of Duty with its Battlefield series. Despite the similarities between Call of Duty and Battlefield, and despite EA's track record in developing other successful AAA franchises such as FIFA, Mass Effect, Need for Speed, and Star Wars Battlefront, the Battlefield franchise cannot keep up. As of August 2021, more than 400 million Call of Duty games have been sold, while Battlefield has sold just 88.7 million copies.
Jesus.
I just love that Sony
And that's
just
the entire franchise?
yes. I just love that Sony just absolutely takes EA to the fucking mat here to make their point. Like they don't even give a shit. This is
I didn't know it was that. First of all, that's super low for Battlefield,
I
in
know,
my
dude.
opinion. Holy shit,
There's
they're
been a lot of
shitting on
Battlefield games.
Battlefield.
Yeah, like dude, it's bonkers.
They are shitting on Battlefield. Holy fuck.
Mhm. Mhm.
That puts a lot of stuff in perspective, actually. That's insane. That that is actually a mind-blowing stat right there. That's
Four
crazy.
hundred
I didn't
million copies have been sold.
400 million copies to 80. You said 88, right?
Yeah, 88.7. Dude, you realize, right?
88.7.
You realize that's like over 20 million average per title. If you divide it by the number of years that there have been since COD started, it's over 20 million per year. That's fucking insane. Like completely, absolutely absurd. You know?
And this is units. This is not dollars. This is units.
No, that's units. Yeah, they're talking units. I don't even want to think about dollars. That's like probably in the fucking tens of billions of dollars. You know? Probably hundreds of
That
billions. What the
that
fuck am I talking
franchise is
about?
that franchise is fucking crazy.
Yep. Yeah, no, its reach is real. I mean, think about dude, our friend like Snakes is fucking totally absorbed in it right now. Like he hasn't gotten on the Discord since it came out. You know, that's all he's playing lately. So I mean, it's powerful. Call of Duty's powerful. All right, moving
That's
on to
$24 billion.
what?
I
400
said
million?
I did 400 million at 60 as a base price, and on average they're probably between 20 to 24 billion dollars.
Wait, are you sure that number's right?
I think.
Hold on, I'm gonna do it here. I think that might be off. One
Yeah, that might be off. Hold on, let me try that again.
times what is it? 60? No, you're right. 24 billion. Okay. I feel like that should be
That's
higher
still a
than
lot.
that, but
I feel like it should be too, but that's still a lot of fucking. We're not kind of microtransaction and shit like that.
no, that's just copies sold, right? Like that's not
Yeah.
money's made. That's not money's made. So, yeah, I think in recent years that probably oh, Jesus. All right. Okay, moving on. Next point here is quote, ignoring these facts, Microsoft argues that Nintendo has been successful without access to Call of Duty. This misses the point. The decision identifies a wide body of evidence showing that Nintendo offers a differentiated experience to Xbox and PlayStation because it is focused on family-friendly games that are very different from PEGI 18 FPS games like the Call of Duty. This is supported by Microsoft's internal documents, which, so the CMA found, show that in general, Microsoft's internal documents track PlayStation more closely than Nintendo, with Nintendo often being absent from any internal competitive assessment. Which is that's interesting. That's just honestly notable. It's interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, definitely
I mean,
true.
at least Nintendo's not really getting. Nintendo's like, why am I even in this? You
Why are you
know?
mentioning me here, bro?
Yeah, why are you mentioning me,
Like,
bro? Like,
yeah,
get me
don't
out
talk about
this.
me right now.
Yeah, don't talk about me at all.
Yeah.
I just think it's funny. I'm sorry, I'm still talking that Battlefield thing. Like, EA just caught a huge shot there.
Body fucking slammed, dude. Like to put it out there like that is like, are those numbers we even knew? I'm sure they are, but man, I'm sure
I didn't
EA
know
is
that.
like fucking
I didn't know
steaming,
that.
you know?
That's insane. I knew it was going to be significant, but I didn't. I thought it was going to be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
we sold 2 million or 100. Like, if they were to do that right, it'd be like, oh, we sold 200 million copies, and Battlefield only sold 100 million copies or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
88 of 400 to 88 million. That's insane. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
like get shitted on, kid. Get
Yeah.
shitted on. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy. But even with like Nintendo, like, I Sony's making a point there. Like, Nintendo's in their own lane. They're like, we don't even fuck with these people like that. And
Mm-hmm.
even the games that do come out like near and everything like that, it comes out years later, um, which is another boost, for
Mm-hmm.
the third party developers in that aspect. But
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
I, I think Sony is making a very interesting case, and I think Sony's making an interesting case, and then Xbox making an interesting case as far as like the placement of where the Nintendo is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of weird that both of them acknowledge that Nintendo is a threat. If that makes me, the simple fact that they're mentioning they mention Nintendo
Yeah.
means that Nintendo is a bigger threat than even that we think in
Yeah.
in a law case. And I
Mm-hmm.
know they're trying to use it as leverage, but um, yeah, I mean, it makes sense too because Sony is always like on the coattails of Nintendo as far as innovation or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
case may be. They always try to do stuff that Nintendo tries to do. So yeah, I don't know. It just makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, continuing on. Quote, Microsoft claims that Nintendo's differentiated model demonstrates that PlayStation does not need Call of Duty to compete effectively. But this reveals Microsoft's true strategy. Oh. Microsoft wants PlayStation to become like Nintendo so that it would be a less close and less effective competitor to Xbox. Post-transaction, Xbox would become the one-stop shop for all the best-selling shooter franchises on console: Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, Doom, Overwatch, as the decision explains, and it would then be free from serious competitive pressure. So I think this one's a little bit of a reach. However, I do think their point about the one-stop shop for all best-selling shooter franchises is very well taken when you lay it out like that, because they're not fucking wrong, dude. Like, outside of that, what do you have? Battlefield, Apex, Fortnite, I guess. No, Fortnite's not even an FPS. So, yeah, it's like Apex and Battlefield. Like, that's it. And Microsoft would own all of those. Like, that is
That is
definitely,
insane.
that is actually kind of scary when you think about it. Because
Yeah.
Sony has nothing in that space, anymore. Like, nothing even worth mentioning. So that is definitely a key point that is very interesting. So continuing on, this one I thought was interesting because they talk about the next console. So, quote, duration: Microsoft has offered to continue making Activision's games available on PlayStation only until 2027. Likewise, in public comments just on October 26, Microsoft said that it plans to offer Call of Duty on PlayStation only as long as that makes sense, a period until 2027 or some other possibly shorter time that Microsoft unilaterally determines makes sense to Microsoft is badly inadequate. By the time SIE launches the next generation of its PlayStation console, which is likely to occur around blank, it would have lost access to Call of Duty and other Activision titles, making it extremely vulnerable to consumer switching, its subsequent degradation in its competitiveness. Even assuming that SIE had the ability and resources to develop a similarly successful franchise to Call of Duty, it would take many, many years and billions of dollars to create a challenger to Call of Duty, and the example of EA's Battlefield shows that any such efforts would more than likely be unsuccessful. Another shot at EA. But I mean, again, though, it's a well taken point. Like, I mean, they're not wrong. Like, what all these statistics are demonstrating is that Call of Duty is powerful, right? And the penetration it has with gamers is very strong. And to just come in and try to compete with that is going to be almost impossible for anybody to do, right? So,
Yeah. This is insane. I don't know. This is crazy. Just hearing you, because I'm actually like speechless every time like you get done with the sentence. I'm just like, that's insane. That's insane shit to say. Like, why would you say that? Like, I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, and the fact that they spell out when their next console might come out is interesting. I mean, it's redacted, so we're just guessing here. But I mean,
Yeah,
2027,
somebody actually texted me
2028.
today, and someone said 2027.
Well, think about it. They're talking about a period until 2027, right? And then they say
Mm,
by the time they launch their next generation of consoles, they would have lost access to it, meaning that it's probably 2028 or later,
okay.
right? Or at least that's what they're thinking by the way these sentences are structured. Um so which makes sense. So, all right, moving on to the next point. More generally, Microsoft's past conduct shows that its public utterances should be treated with extreme skepticism. The decision identifies 5 separate transactions: ZeniMax, Obsidian, In Exile, Ninja Theory, Compulsion, where Microsoft acquired game studios and then made their upcoming game releases exclusive to Xbox. This conduct occurred despite Microsoft's assurances to the public and regulators that it would not make ZeniMax content exclusive. Microsoft's CEO of gaming, Phil Spencer, publicly explained the rationale for Microsoft's bait and switch as follows: This is about delivering great exclusive games for Xbox customers that ship on platforms where Game Pass exists. That's our goal. That's why we're doing this. That's the root of this partnership that we're building. End quote. So, I mean, they're going straight at Microsoft's throat on this one, right? And
Yeah.
again, they're spitting facts, right? Like, I mean, this one is 100% true. Phil, before the purchase of ZeniMax in particular, that's the biggest one here that matters, like was very vague about exclusivity and made it sound like they were not going to make their games exclusive. And then they bought it and their tune totally changed immediately after that. So they do have a history of that as well. So I don't know. You have anything to add there?
No, not really, because Bill Spencer kind of labels himself as like,
Mm-hmm.
this I'm different from the corporations, but once he gets the power, like he
Mm-hmm.
makes them corporate.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I have nothing. They're totally right on that aspect.
Yep. Okay. Moving on. So we're at number 23. So quote, um, second, Microsoft's foreclosure strategy would prevent SAE from competing for a large portion of console gamers, reducing incentives to invest in innovations. PlayStation's and Xbox's incentives to invest in innovation and quality improvements depend on the number of customers that competition can attract. Microsoft's foreclosure strategy may lock in many customers to Xbox, including existing Xbox users who play Call of Duty and those switching from PlayStation due to Call of Duty. These locked in users would become less likely to switch in response to any pre competitive actions on SIE's part. This would effectively prevent SIE from competing for the business of a large portion of console gamers. While SIE could today hope to attract Xbox users who play Call of Duty, these consumers are unlikely to switch if Call of Duty becomes exclusive to Xbox. That may represent blank million consumers or about blank percent of Xbox's existing user base. Conservative estimates suggest that blank percent of PlayStation users would switch to Xbox in the short to medium term if Call of Duty was made exclusive to Xbox. These PlayStation switchers would represent an increase of blank million consumers to the current Xbox user base and about a blank percent increase. So this is research that Sony has done. Obviously, it's speculation, of course, but again, demonstrating their concern about this. That they think a very like a large they would lose a large chunk of people if Call of Duty went exclusive to Xbox.
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think that's true?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
That's a real coin flip. And the only reason I say that is I think a lot of people underestimate the bargaining power of a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to say something similar happened to this before. Um but like I think if everybody that huge install base, let's just say it's like 200 million, right? 200 million people on PlayStation and let's just say it's like 50 million on Xbox or whatever.
Yeah.
I think being generous, maybe 50 to 75 million people may go over to Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people are going to buy a whole console for Call of Duty. I think in turn, people will get upset at Call of Duty and probably won't even play it anymore or gets upset at Activision. And then the franchise will either just die or they will have to make the choice to make it multi-platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think a lot of the leverage is in Sony's hands in
Yeah.
that aspect.
And I think that's clear because this is working. Sony's strategy here, right? Like this
Mm-hmm.
is working. This is being held up here significantly to the point that this deal is like straight up like might actually be in doubt at this point. That it's going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the U.S., dude. Like, it is not. It's already starting to be scrutinized here. And I'm not confident necessarily that it's just going to go through. But so we'll see on that front. But I think I think that's my point about what Microsoft's it's a long-term strategy for them is because what you're saying is true, right? If they bought Activision and they next year they said COD's exclusive going forward on Xbox, like I think that would be the reaction at that point. But that's why I think they want to use a period of time of 5 to 10 years to lure people away with Call of Duty on Game Pass. And then make the switch when it becomes much more feasible and it's not a PR disaster, at that point. So, but again, I think Sony's, most honestly overall, I think most of these arguments they're making are fairly well reasoned. So, all right, next point. So, quote, Microsoft's foreclosure strategy would cause SIE to lose significant revenues, diminishing its ability to fund further investment. PlayStation users that play Call of Duty generate around blank percent of total spending, around blank billion, on hardware, peripherals, subscriptions, games, and other PlayStation services. The loss of all or a significant portion of these users, together with their associated revenues and profits, would severely diminish SIE's ability and incentive to invest in future hardware, innovation, and gaming technologies. Cornerstone Research and RBB Economics estimate that switching rates of blank percent could lead to a blank percent reduction in SIE's profits. This would, in turn, also reduce the potential return on producing innovative first-party games, thereby diminishing SIE's ability and incentive to invest in new games. What do you think those percentages are?
I'd say like 50 or 60%.
Man, that high?
Yes.
Wow. Jesus. That would be
I
fucking insane.
actually want to say 75. I'm being conservative. I think it's really high. I think it's like
No, it's not. It
I
can't be.
might
It
even
can't be
say
that high.
80%.
No,
I
bro, it
think it's
can't be
like
that high.
80%.
Not that many people have COD on PlayStation, man. Like that would
Oh
like think about
my
their total
god,
user
dude.
think about their total user base, right? They talk about it in the Microsoft side, don't they? It's like 150 million or something, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That they say. So if you're saying that 80% of people would switch, I mean, dude, that's like 120 million of the the players. Like that's a lot, dude. Just for COD, I don't think it's that high. I think it's probably like in the 10 to 15% range, realistically.
Yeah, switching.
That's what they're
Yeah.
saying. Switching, like they're dropping PlayStation like a bad habit.
Okay, switching that would be a lot lower. I think about 30%.
Okay,
That's still high, but I
that's
think it's
still
like
pretty high.
30%.
Yeah, that's still pretty
Yeah.
high. But
I think it would be like I legitimately think it would be 30% of players.
it's like
Or
45.
people would just stop playing video games. You know what? This is what I think will happen. I
Mm,
think 15%, to be conservative, will switch over. And then another like 40 to 50%, or another 15% of that 30 that I said,
mhm.
rather, would just stop playing video games. And that's
Well,
15% out the market.
that is a fair point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah, COD changing platforms and becoming exclusive to a different one for a certain brand of consumer. I would say most probably would switch. They would buy the other console and play it on there,
Yep.
right? But I do think there is a group of people that would not be able to afford it or would not want to pay the money to do that. That is a big barrier to entry, right? It's like you'd have to pay suddenly $500 just to play COD again, and it's like, you know, do I want to do that? It's like that's a big ask actually. So which again goes to my point and Microsoft's point that they're not taking COD off PlayStation in the short term. Like, but again, to Sony's point, I don't think that's what they're worried about. They're worried about the long term ramifications of this. Like, it's not necessarily about tomorrow. They know they could get Microsoft to agree to keep the game on their console for 5 to 10 years. So they're clearly not worried about that in and of itself. It's more the long term consequences, which they're talking about here. Like them losing all this revenue, suddenly they have less revenue to work with to make games, make innovative hardware, meaning things like PSVR 2 might not even be possible in that kind of environment, right? Like, so
Thank God.
but like, their ability to enrich the gaming industry would be lowered, because the revenue's lower. So
Yeah, no, and that I think that's the biggest takeaway from this, that point right there. Because not only would they be losing money, like I said, but that a significant portion of people, even if it's 10% of players, just leave the fucking gaming space.
yeah,
Like that's 10% of R&R not getting put into games
well, it
and
could hurt the
everything like
whole
that.
industry. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Like this, I didn't even think about that until we started reading and started doing this, and midway through, like that's huge. Like this can be very detrimental to gaming. This can probably kill gaming. In all honesty, like this can start the second crash of gaming. Because remember we had the first crash a couple years ago, but this can start that second
Mhm.
crash because if Microsoft does, let's say the UK Parliament or whatever, they approve it,
Yeah.
then Microsoft is like, you know what, fuck it, we're just going to 5 years, Call of Duty's off the fucking thing. In that 5 years, gaming's dead because no one's going to try to buy another console, or everyone's going to go to Xbox. But
Yeah.
then, yeah, gaming's still dead because Sony doesn't have the money to make all these super cool third party or first party games and all this other shit like that. It's going to be very, very monopolized. And then I would say another 2 or 3 years, people are gonna get tired of playing video games, and then video games it's in its core is just gonna die. It's probably still gonna be there in the background, but it's like it's gonna die. Like it's not gonna be $1 billion franchise or as big of $1 billion franchise as it or a franchise genre as it is now. So
Mhm.
I don't know. I think this move is just thinking about it. Like I don't even care about Microsoft's points, but like this is a really bad move.
Well, hold on. To be fair, we're gonna give Microsoft their due here in a
Yeah, we're
second.
gonna give
I
them a
know we've been
chance.
very Sony focused. So, all right, we only got a couple more to get through with Sony. So let me read through these. So the next one, quote, Game Pass leads PlayStation Plus significantly. Microsoft already has a substantial lead in multi-game subscription services. Game Pass has 29 million subscribers, which I don't know if we knew that number, to Xbox Game Pass Console and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, and is expected to grow substantially in the future. The multi-game subscription tiers of PlayStation Plus considerably lag, with fewer than blank the number of subscribers.
Damn it! I wish we could
End
have that
quote.
number.
I know. I wish. Well, what do you think it is? I mean, half?
So yeah, Microsoft's at 29, right?
It's got to be half, right? That's a small redacted,
Yeah,
Because
maybe
like, think
14,
about it.
15.
If it was a quarter, it would be, like the word a quarter would not fit in that. So half is the only thing I could think of. Um,
Yeah, maybe like 14, 15 million.
well, it says fewer than half, or it says
Oh,
fewer than
fewer than
blank,
half.
fewer than
10
blank. So
million.
fewer than half. I'm thinking 10 million or less. Yeah, which would
Yeah.
make sense. So, continuing on here, quote: independent surveys confirm the profound effect of Call of Duty being included on Game Pass. An independent YouGov survey from January 2022 found that including Call of Duty on Game Pass would have a profound impact on gamer preferences for multi-game subscription services. 46% of PlayStation gamers in the US indicated that if Call of Duty were available on Game Pass, they would consider subscribing to Game Pass. Now this is a poll, right? Like, but polling tends to be fairly accurate, so that is a large
But like
percentage.
it depends on the climate of the poll. Like who are they polling,
Yeah,
how many they polled.
right.
Does it have that data?
No,
Okay.
I mean,
I mean,
but
they could just ask like
it's
100
like
people.
political polling, though, right? Like,
Yeah.
but polling can be very wrong. But um, still, let's just take that number at face value, right? 46%. Um, I mean, that's insane. That would be an insane number of people if that were if that's actually a true statement. Like that's up where you were talking about in terms of percentage of people that would switch. Like that's what they're talking about here. So, um, yeah, I don't know. I don't believe that number,
I do.
per se, but um,
No, I do.
still
They're
think about it though. I mean, it is a fair point. Think about it, right? If COD's on Game Pass, suddenly COD has a potential user base even bigger than it has now, because what it has now are people that need to buy the game, right? Like you need to pay the $70 to play COD. Whereas in Game Pass, if you're a Game Pass subscriber already and you don't buy COD, well, suddenly COD's available to you, and maybe fuck it, I'll try it. It's like, or if you don't have Game Pass and it's like, what? Wait, COD's on Game Pass? Oh shit, I'll pay the 15 a month or whatever for that. And then all the other shit I get with it. So it's like suddenly Game Pass becomes, or sorry, COD becomes way more intriguing to people who might not normally buy it. So that is an interesting point, which means that 46% could be a believable number. It's not all people that are playing COD. It could be people that don't play COD, but maybe would if it was easier to access, like cheaper for them to access. So,
yeah.
okay. One more point here on Sony, which I'll read out here. Quote, Microsoft argues that demand for multi-game subscription services would not tip towards Game Pass because Microsoft would also make Game Pass available on PlayStation. But the wider availability of uh, the leading provider, now endowed with exclusive, irreplaceable content and protected by direct and indirect network effects, would make it harder and not easier for rival multi-game subscription services to compete. Microsoft's stance that Game Pass availability on PlayStation would be a panacea for the harm from this transaction rings particularly hollow, given that Microsoft does not permit PlayStation Plus to be available on Xbox. So this one confirms something that I've thought could possibly be true, and I don't know if we've actually talked about it on the podcast before, but that Xbox wants Game Pass on PlayStation, and they're literally pretty much confirming that here. Um, but it is funny that Sony posits the idea of PlayStation Plus on Xbox, which kind of suggests the idea that they would be maybe open to that, which is something I never thought could be possible. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
I can see like a streaming service, like if you want to stream The Last of Us on your Xbox through a
No, I think it would
PlayStation
be.
service.
I think it would be highly successful in both directions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Xbox exclusives on PlayStation and then PlayStation exclusives on Xbox. I think both of them would actually be huge hits on either console, because then you could play fucking Halo, Gears, all of Obsidian stuff, Bethesda stuff on PlayStation. Like, um, so I think it's a good idea. It's just interesting to see them talk about it so candidly, though.
Yeah, this is weird. This is getting weird. I know they hated this. I know like the executives and everything like hated this, and the lawyers were like, well, yo, we have to be honest. Like, we have
Yeah,
to say this shit. You guys fucking suck.
yeah.
You know. So, yeah, I don't know. That's interesting. That's an interesting concept. I
Mhm.
don't think they pitched it. I think it was one of those things where like, hey,
No,
this could happen.
they're bringing it up as a rebuttal
Y-
to Microsoft's
Yeah.
point, right? Like,
I don't think it actually well, for Microsoft. I definitely think that conversation did come up. I don't
yeah,
think it came up on the other side from
I
Sony
agree.
though. Sony putting their stuff on
Yeah,
Xbox.
I totally agree. Okay, that's it for the Sony part. There's a lot more in here that we didn't talk about. There's plenty of points. I suggest reading through it. Microsoft is going to be shorter. We don't have as many points to pull out on Microsoft's side because their document is 5 times as big as Sony's and was much harder to parse through for us. So I would suggest reading through it as well, though, skimming through it. Definitely is some interesting stuff. So here's some of the things they put out as well. Quote, in addition to being the dominant console provider, Sony is also a powerful game publisher. Sony is roughly equivalent in size to Activision and nearly double the size of Microsoft's game publishing business. Sony publishes iconic first party franchises such as God of War, The Last of Us, Marvel Spider Man, Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Days Gone, as well as the recently acquired Destiny 2, and has minority shareholdings in Epic Games, the publisher of Fortnite, and From Software, the publisher of Elden Ring. There were over 280 exclusive first and third party titles on PlayStation in 2021, nearly 5 times as many as Xbox. So, Xbox kind of telling on themselves a little bit there. But,
Exactly.
but, like, obviously, this is public info, right? We could go figure this out if we wanted to, like, tally up the numbers. But it is interesting to see it laid out like that, how heavily PlayStation invests in exclusives versus Xbox. Um, Clearly, Xbox does not value the exclusive nearly as much as PlayStation does.
Mm-hmm.
At least
I mean,
not to this point.
the simple fact that they had 280. I would like. I think this number is inflated.
Well, they're
Because I would like
including
to see how much.
they're including third party, right? So games like
Yeah,
Persona and things like that, you know.
and a whole bunch of indie titles. I'm assuming as
Indie
well.
title, yeah, definitely, absolutely. It's
But
Japanese shit.
yeah, exactly.
Probably the majority of that's probably Japanese stuff.
Yep.
So it is a little inflated, but it's also funny that Xbox is like just laying it out there. Hey, they got 5 times as many exclusives of us as us boys. It's like, all right, cool, man. All right, continuing on. Quote: Sony was not foreclosed when certain Call of Duty content was exclusive to Xbox. There's no indication, based on Call of Duty's prior history, of differentiation between versions of Call of Duty on Xbox and PlayStation, that this could in any way affect rival consoles' ability to compete effectively. Sony's share of console sales grew in the period from 2005 to 2015 when Xbox had certain exclusive rights. There are many more popular games available in the market in 2022 than there were between 2005 and 2015, including Fortnite, PUBG, Apex Legends, Elden Ring, and many others. If anything, Call of Duty's importance as a franchise was greater in 2005 and 2015. Okay, a couple things. First thing, I love that Elden Ring is being put up against like Apex, Fortnite. Like that's fucking so awesome, dude. Like that's fucking insane. How like successful that game is. But the second thing is I think Xbox, like they are making a good point here, but at the same time, like I don't know, like
I think it's a great point. I think the point is they're trying to say that even if we do acquire Call of Duty, and even if we say it's exclusive on our thing, they have so many tools in their box that they can dig in, that they can actually Call of Duty will be our only defense.
yeah.
Now, to counter that, I will say if I was on Sony's side, yeah, but Call of Duty was big, but it wasn't as big as it is now. Like you're not making as much money as it is now.
Well,
Modern
yeah,
Warfare 2 just sold is the highest
right,
grossing game
right,
that came out in the Call of Duty franchise. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So this is out of date already. This information that you just said.
Right, and
So
we got to keep this in context, right? This was written
yeah,
probably in September or early October before the game came out. So we do
exactly.
we do need to keep that in mind here. But like the other point I want to make though is I would have liked to see them expand on this a little bit more. Their last sentence. That's the point that I'm finding like strained here, is that Call of Duty's importance as a franchise was greater in the 10-year period of 2005 to 2015, where it's like explain that a little bit more, because I think like you could make a good point with that. However, you could also reverse it where yes, maybe it didn't, like maybe it made more money at a certain point in time, but its
Would it be like per
importance,
capita, I
right?
guess?
That's what I'm thinking, right? Like kind
Yeah.
of play that out a little bit more, like that might
Hmm.
have illustrated their point more if the dollars made relative to the rest of the industry was higher, like ratio wise, than it is now, which is probably true. That kind of illustrates their point a little bit better. But I mean, you're right. What you said like is a great point. Like it's well taken. Like because it is fairly true. There are way more big $1 billion games now than there were back then. So
Yeah.
um,
And then on top of that, I don't think they're counting Warzone. Like
yeah,
Warzone's fucking huge now,
yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. It's just weird, but
Uh,
yeah, continue.
okay. Next point. So, quote, in any event, the reality that Game Pass has no market power, a prerequisite for any hypothetical foreclosure strategy. Game Pass accounted for 0 to 5% of digital distribution of gaming content globally. Even just looking at multi game subscription services alone, it is Sony's PlayStation Plus, which is larger than Game Pass, both in terms of number of subscribers and revenues. Come on, guys.
Such
Like,
bullshit.
Sony has by far the largest subscriber base of any multi-game subscription service, and Sony markets itself as having built the world's largest game subscription service. And then there's a bullet point here. PlayStation's installed base of consoles, 151.4 million in 2021, is more than double the size of Xbox's, 63.7 million in 2021. PlayStation's share of console sales, both worldwide and in the UK, was around blank percent in
Redacted. Yeah.
blank percent in 2021, more than double that of Xbox. Okay, what do you think of this one? Because I think the idea that they're trying to say that Game Pass is a lesser subscription service
Yeah.
to PlayStation Plus, like,
I,
come
I, would-
on,
if I was the judge, like in that case, right? I would
objection.
probably, I would probably go out of character and say cap. You capping? Like that's cap, bro. That's don't even.
Well, if I'm like the other lawyer on the other side, objection. like because you're comparing apples to oranges, right? Like they're talking about PlayStation Plus as a whole, right? Which is true. It has more subscribers than Game Pass, but like that's like the base tier, the one that doesn't give you games,
Yeah.
or gives you like 2 free games a month. Like that's not equivalent to Game
That's
Pass.
not you can't equate. I when I read
Can't
that's
believe
why I
they
put
tried
it
to
in there.
equate that. Yeah, like
That's why I put it in there because I was just like I was mind boggled that they did that. I was like, oh okay, and then I thought about it after I read it. I was like, no, they
yeah.
didn't just do that, did they?
Yeah. Well, I think the other part that's funny is they put the install base of consoles in here. Like they basically just put the numbers out here for themselves, which we haven't heard like Xbox's numbers in forever, dude. So
Mm-hmm.
63.7 million. I mean, I'm assuming that's Xbox One and Series X and S put together.
Yeah,
And
it may be.
that's an
Yep.
embarrassingly low number compared to Sony with PS4 and PS5. So it is interesting that they put that out here, because it kind of reveals how big the gulf really is.
Yeah,
It's
I really want to know what the
over double.
percentage was in the UK in
Yeah,
particular, and it's more than double that of Xbox, which is
right.
crazy.
Yeah. So
This is Xbox's side, so I mean, it's almost like a a self-deprecation like
yeah,
competition, like who can
yeah,
like say they're the worst.
yeah. I know it's hilarious. Well, if you put that what they said there in conjunction with the one about the minutes played, the 40% of
hmm
minutes played is Activision and Xbox. That kind of doesn't that kind of prove out that Activision's the more important part of that percentage than Xbox there.
Yeah,
So, which is
yeah.
bonkers for a third party. But all right. Next one. Quote: The addition of Activision's content to Xbox will, if anything, increase Xbox's chances of being able to compete more successfully with Sony's PlayStation. Given Activision's limited share in console publishing, even when combined with Xbox's own content, is less than 20 to 30% worldwide and in the UK combined. Hold on, I need to read that again. Given Xbox's limited share in console publishing is less than 20 to 30% worldwide and in the UK combined, it is far from certain that the merger would succeed in challenging Sony's market power in any meaningful way. The addition of Activision's content to Game Pass is good for gamers and would not be possible without the merger. If Game Pass is more attractive to gamers, it makes Xbox, which is at third place, more competitive against PlayStation and Switch and expands the overall gaming market. So, what do you think of that one?
That one is true.
Yeah.
And it actually strengthens Sony's argument that Phil Spencer would go against his word of not saying, "Hey, we do this," but then they do something else. So that's why I put that in there because it's actually strengthening Sony's argument. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good argument. I don't even think they should have put this in there.
Yeah,
To
they're
be
almost
honest with
kind of
you,
admitting that it's in their best interest to put it on Game Pass,
exactly.
to like make it
And I
exclusive.
and I
Yeah.
and I understand they're trying to say like, well, hey, like we need to, we're a business, we have to do what business do. But at the same time, you're also proving that,
Right. But you're
like,
doing
I don't
that
know it
ignoring all the ramifications that would
exactly.
cause, right? All the ripples. Because like the thing I was thinking of earlier when we were talking about this, it's almost like taking a fucking aircraft carrier off the ocean and just like grabbing it off the ocean and then plopping it down somewhere else like nearby. The uh, the the
Exactly.
the disruptive waves that would come of that are fucking like insane, right? And that's kind of what I look at here with Activision, um, especially given all these statistics and everything that we've been going through. So, but all right, the last one we have. So, quote: Activision has one of the strongest mobile businesses in the gaming industry. Mobile gaming revenues from the King division and titles such as Call of Duty Mobile, as well as ancillary revenue, represented more than half of Activision's revenues in the first half of 2022. 16 mobile customers account for around the company's total monthly. Wait, 16 is it 16 million mobile
Yeah,
customers?
they have it redacted. Everything's like
Oh, I see.
redacted on this one.
Around
Yeah.
blank of the company's totally monthly active users. Given this strength, Activision will blank.
Oh,
Assuming
okay, hold on. That 16 is actually a footnote, and a footnote goes to a link. and it
Oh, okay.
gives the number.
Oh, I see. Okay, so mobile
Yeah,
customers account for around blank of the company's total monthly active users. Okay,
yeah.
so they're using that as a
So there's
point to
actually a
show that.
huge footnote for 17.
Yeah.
I read it. It really didn't give any information. It was just really saying that, not Candy Crush, because that's owned by EA, but
Mhm.
it was just really saying like how big the mobile market is and everything like that. And Microsoft acknowledges that it's the fastest growing sector, and they really want they that's what their main target is and everything like that. And they have footnotes to say that Mister Nadella wants those challenges and wants to go mobile and everything like that. So, um,
He wants to go mobile.
yeah, so that is what that footnote is representing. I put this in here because I think it's a really interesting argument that we really don't hear too much of.
Yeah.
That when we're talking about Call of Duty, we always think consoles and everything of that nature. But
Mhm.
Call of Duty Mobile is almost just as big as the console version of the
Mhm.
game now.
Yep.
And the simple fact that you can get it into hundreds of millions of users' hands at the drop of a dime, no matter what country you're in. I mean, unless it's like restricted on the market or whatever,
Yeah.
it's huge. So you can get a mobile experience, and it's not like a trash mobile game. It's actually a really good It's actually a robust mobile game.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, then
so
it's Candy Crush. I mean, everything King does, right? Like,
yeah,
it's
I mean,
not.
I thought Candy Crush is owned by EA.
No. Wait.
It's
No, I
not.
think it's King.
Is it Candy King?
No. Candy Crush is developed by King,
Okay, and that's
sort
owned
of
by
owned by Activision.
Activision. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So I think this isn't like I agree with you, right? Like this is part of this whole deal that I think is being slept on big time. This mobile side of this, because that is a huge part of the revenue that Activision Blizzard King, which is actually their name, makes every year, right? We don't talk
yeah,
about that because it's not relevant to kind of the audience we're trying to gain here, but it's an important component of this deal. I do think it is not necessarily the best thing to bring up, though, that you are inserting yourself into another market, a sub market of gaming that you have no presence in. Suddenly, I don't think that makes the point that they're trying to illustrate because they're basically trying to distract from Call of Duty, which is the main thing everybody's talking about. It's like, oh no, we want to make money in mobile, like too, and it's like, okay. So you want to take over more of the industry, It's like, all right, like I don't think it sounds as good as they think it does, but
yeah. It's trying to throw like a smoke field
mhm,
out in the battlefield.
mhm.
Sorry, this is silence keeps jumping on me. It's trying to it's trying to throw like a smoke grenade out there and provide cover so they can move and provide a screen. But I think it only strengthens like Sony's fucking arguments. Like and that's why I try to pick out because to me they sounded really good when I picked them out. I was like, before I even heard your side of arguments because when me and Justin were picking these out, we were silent,
Yeah.
and I thought these were really good arguments. But then Justin presented his side, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Like it countered everything I picked. Like, uh, and I mean, it's probably more stuff in here that counters what Justin picked out.
Well,
Um,
yeah. To be fair, like this is my point, right? I think I had the easier job, right? I had 22 pages to go through, and frankly, the last 4 pages of that are all redacted. So it was really only 18 or 17 pages, and I skipped like the last 3 or 4 because they're literally all about cloud, which I don't give a shit about. Um,
mhm,
so I definitely had the easier job here picking out quotes. This 111 page behemoth by Microsoft is I don't even know where to start with it. And actually the issue with theirs as well as the redacted stuff is not redacted in the same way. It's not the black bar that
mhm.
typically it's got like a little fucking scissor icon
Yep,
over anything
exactly.
redacted. So it's like it's much harder to because that's kind of like a point for me that I was looking through is the redacted stuff is where the interesting shit is,
Yeah,
because clearly they don't want the public to know that shit. So yeah, so unfortunately, like I think this is like a point that like frustrates me a little bit is like I wish we had time to prepare for this show in a way like because me and Montrell, we work full time, right? Like we don't have time to prepare for the show like before the show. Like we just kind of show up, we put the doc together. We both write down stories during the week that we think are going to be interesting, and then we find stuff that helps us do the show with that, right? To talk about those topics. And in this case, like this thing, I did not realize that the Microsoft one was 111 pages. I knew about this, but I hadn't looked at it before today. So it's like it was hard to go through here. So I will admit we didn't give Microsoft their full due. There is a ton in here, and that's kind of my main point. Is don't just take what we're saying here. Like it makes it seem like Sony's making the better arguments, but I'd say really read through the Microsoft side because
Yeah,
they have a lot of fucking data in here that Sony does not have backing themselves up. So I would really suggest if you're interested in this and you want to get the full picture, like read both. And
yeah. Like look at this. This is I didn't put it on the doc, but I just read it. I'm just skimming through.
yeah.
It's called the merger entity will not have significant upstream market power, based on the realistic perspective standard in phase one. Blah 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 blah. So they pretty much saying like
Mm-hmm.
they don't have that much marketing power. Activision doesn't have that much gaming console power. So they say, hey, Activision has limited number of console games, with Call of Duty being the only game of its material size. B, Nintendo and Sony both have larger players in upstream market. C, there is no evidence significant market power based on market shares. D, even focusing narrowly on shooter games does not provide evidence that Activision has significant market power. C, or E rather, Call of Duty does not confer market power. Call of Duty gamers are not special compared to other popular franchises. F,
Mm.
evidence for Call of Duty Vanguard shows viable alternatives exist. Vanguard being like one of the worst Call of Duties that probably came out within the last 5 years. And then they have a whole chart here, and it says Activision has limited number of console games. Activision publishes a limited number of console games. These games are listed in table 1 below, associated with the monthly active users for 2020 and 2021. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the only Activision game, the only Activision console game of any material size is Call of Duty. No other Activision game has has a share more than 0 to 5%. No foreclosed no foreclosed concerns can arise even hypothetically in relation to such games that are not being considered further in this submission. And in that list, they have them redacted, like revenue by millions is redacted, but
Mm.
then it has Call of Duty is like 5 to 10% shares of supply percentage. And then it has average monthly users; those are redacted. So it's a lot of redacted information. But the games they have in here is very interesting. So they have Call of Duty, Crash Bandicoot, Diablo, which I forgot is owned by Activision Blizzard, Overwatch, Tony Hawk, Spyro, Sekiro, uh, Prototype, which is an old fucking game, and Destiny, which I forgot.
Prototype.
Yeah,
What the fuck is what? That's from like 12 years ago, bro.
yeah.
Like
Prototype, they have it in the footnotes. Prototype is a 2009 game developed by Radical Entertainment and published by Activision. Destiny is a game developed by Bungie, previously published by Activision. Destiny is now self-published by Bungie after
mm-hmm.
separating from Activision in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Destiny 2 was published by Bungie, which was recently acquired by Sony.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just very interesting. Then I saw this one right here, which is 316. Nintendo is the largest publisher globally with a share of 10 to 20%. Nintendo publishes many industry most iconic franchises, including Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, and Donkey
Oh
Kong.
yeah, Donkey Kong. Oh, yeah. That big gem right there, you know? Yeah, okay.
First party titles for CA. It has CA abbreviated. I don't know what CA abbreviated means, but it's like
Well,
redacted
they might have
consumer.
redacted part of a word. I don't know.
Yeah, they redacted it, so it's first party titles for redacted of consumer spending on Nintendo consoles, with exclusive titles including first party and third parties are redacted. Nintendo also has a high listen to this, also has a a portfolio of high quality exclusive third party content, including Bayonetta, Monster Hunter Rise, and Astral Chain.
Astral
First of
Chain,
all,
baby. Well, yeah, let's go. Platinum getting 2 slots here. Damn, dude. What a publisher.
as Call of Duty is not currently shipped on Nintendo Switch, nor foreclosure concerns can arise, even hypothetically in relation to Nintendo. This submission will therefore focus on Sony. And then they go into another one, which is Bullet Point, which is 317, and they say that Sony is the fourth largest publisher globally, with a share of 5 to 10%, roughly the equivalent size of Activision, and nearly double the size of Xbox. And they name some franchises here, which is God of War, Last of Us, Spider-Man. Pretty much the first point that we made made there, but they go in more detail about active games downloaded and all this shit. Like, it's all here. I recommend you. It's particularly in the UK, but I recommend y'all read it because it's actually very crazy. And this it says right here in one point, Sony has a portfolio of high quality exclusive third party content, including Final Fantasy 16, Bloodborne, Sackboy,
God.
Big Adventure, Street Fighter 6 or Street Fighter 5.
Bloodborne, a 7-year-old game that they haven't patched, released on PC, put on PS5
Sifu.
with a PS5 patch. Sackboy, a Big Adventure, that a game nobody fucking cared about, that literally why are they bringing these up? Like, what?
So this is interesting, right? So this came out in September, right? I don't think the Silent Hill 2 remake was even fucking known.
No,
and
it's
actually
actually October. It's
October.
Dated,
okay,
it's dated October 31st at the top.
Okay. So, all right. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Which
but
they have Street Fighter 5. I'll give them that. Okay. Yeah. And Final Fantasy 16 definitely, right? But Sifu, Silent Hill 2 remake, which is literally a fart in the wind at this point. Like, it's a game that was just announced. Like, who knows if it's even gonna come out?
Exactly. Well, I think their point
they're calling them high quality, by the way. Like, these are high quality exclusive third party content. This is the selection they chose. No, come on.
They could have chose better, but they could have chose better.
Final Fantasy 7 remake, 16. Persona 5, like come on, you had some grab bags here of things you could.
Yeah, whoever did this didn't do their research correctly.
No,
their paralegal should get fired.
Adventure.
Their paralegal should get fired for that.
Yeah, like, come on, bro.
But I think the point they're trying to make here is, which is a really good point. They brought in Nintendo first, and they said, listen, or they did Activision as a whole. It's like, listen, this is all Activision has, like Call of Duty. That's it. We're pretty much just buying Call of Duty. We're not buying anything else because everything else doesn't even fucking matter. And the one thing they did have that mattered, they took it away from us, which is fucking Destiny.
Yeah.
So they laid that argument down, and then they said, well, listen, Nintendo is killing all of us. Like, bro, Nintendo is like the highest selling fucking Switches are outselling fucking PlayStation 5s. Like, the Wii's outsold everybody else. Like, Nintendo is doing their thing. They don't have Call of Duty on their consoles. So what's the big argument? Which is a really good argument in my case. Well, and then they further double down.
They did have Call of Duty on the Wii U and the Wii.
On the Wii, yeah, they did have it on the Wii. You're right. It's been a while, yeah. But like, so even if you're just going by the Switch, though, it's not. They don't have it on the Switch, and they doubled down on that argument too by saying, listen, they have really high quality first party games. And they list those first party games, which are very high quality, like The Last of Us, God of War, and all this stuff like that. And I actually agree with their sentiment that there should be no reason why they can't reach the level of success that Nintendo has now, because a lot of those characters are iconic. Ellie's iconic now. Like, no matter what you want to say, Ellie and Joel are iconic. Kratos is definitely 100% iconic at this point. Like, he's up there as far as popularity.
Yeah.
So they have an argument. Spider-Man, I mean, obviously, what the fuck? Like, that's the most iconic you can get as far as icons. So they have a point that, they don't even need, even if we did take Call of Duty from them, they still have enough on their plate where they can survive. Yes and no. like I said, Call of Duty, like you said, is like a continent or a country. If you take that fucking country and plop it somewhere else in the world, the tsunamis and typhoons that will come from that will devastate the world, one part of the world. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean it's an interesting point. I mean, this is the portion where Microsoft was presenting numbers that make things look favorable for them. So, um, you know, Sony was showing numbers that make it look very unfavorable for them. So it's, I mean, this is the nature of these documents, I think. But um, so
I still
to
think Sony's case is way stronger.
to
But
my
yeah.
to the point though, I think a lot of the stuff that you're saying, like you just went through though, kind of shows that, I mean, Microsoft does have somewhat of a case, to what they're saying.
Yeah.
But I think the main crux of the issue for me though, ultimately, and I think if, I was like in these discussions, like I would be their past behavior with other companies they bought is, it's kind of hard to get past that. There is no way for Microsoft to prove that they aren't just going to snap make Call of Duty exclusive the second that they can,
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and there's nothing Microsoft can say beyond giving Sony a contract that they have to adhere to, which admittedly they have tried to do, to their credit. So, but that's their only way I think that this is going to work, is that Sony's going to have to get massive concessions, and once that happens, Sony's going to let up, and then the pressure is going to be off, and then there may be actually a runway for this to go through. But I think Sony's playing super hardball, and I mean it's working, dude. The fact that Microsoft is at the point where they are offering like 10 years of COD on their console. I mean, dude, it's like, what's next? What is the next like ratcheting up of that offer? Like how far does it go? For this to happen, because it is clear that Microsoft really, really, really fucking wants this to happen. Like they have, I think they have very significant plans with this company. So we shall see. Like I said, find these online and take a look at them, guys. They are worth the read. There's a lot of interesting shit in here. Like we said, stuff that like we've never really seen the two big companies like this talk about, so candidly too, openly, because they know this shit's going to be public. So the fact that they were willing to say all this shows how far they're willing to go to achieve their ends here. That they're willing to give up some of this information. So, but all right, Montrell, let's move on to our final story, and then let's get the fuck out of here. This was
Which is going to be
announced.
short.
This was announced yesterday. Well, I think you have some things to say, don't you? This was announced yesterday by Capcom that Monster Hunter Rise is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, and Xbox One on January 20th of next year. And that Sunbreak is coming sometime in the spring after that. And you, sir, were very upset about this yesterday. I was not happy either, but go into your feelings. What is this making you feel?
To me, this was like one of the biggest slaps that I don't want to say Capcom, because Capcom slapped me in the face a couple times.
Yeah.
With the Resident Evil. But I would say in particular with Monster Hunter, I would never expect this from Monster Hunter, because I have never seen this before. This is beyond Monster Hunter and then Monster Hunter G version of Monster Hunter. This is beyond that. This is, they're triple. I didn't even know that they were doing a separate follow up. They were doing Monster Hunter Rise and then Sunbreak. I thought it was all coming out in once.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
to have Rise come out and then Sunbreak in spring, they're like triple dipping now. Like,
Yeah.
and then I'm upset because I'm seeing people. I'm upset, but then I can't be upset, right? Because there are people who are just like me and you, right? They're like, I played it on the Switch and I kind of put it down,
Yeah.
Well, I like me. You guys were like all into it, but I just couldn't do it anymore because it was.
Yeah, but we
it was
eventually
just-
got there too. It didn't take that long,
Yeah. But then when it came out on PC, we all in Sunbreak came out because we waited till Sunbreak came out because it came out on PC, and then in Sunbreak came out. And we waited just to get Sunbreak, and we played through Sunbreak or Rise and then got to Sunbreak on PC, completely shafting our characters that are on the fucking Switch. And for y'all to be like, oh yeah, now it's coming out on PC. Like me and Justin wouldn't even. I mean, this is good for like our friends like Jet and Brad and Andy and everything like that. Well, I don't even think Andy likes playing it on a PC, to be honest with you. But like, this is good for them. But like for us in our particular friend group, like it's particularly for me and Justin, because this is me. This is a me and Justin game. We included them in our game, but this is a me and Justin game. We would have played this shit on the PS5, like
Absolutely.
hands down,
No question.
no question about this.
Like if it came out last year at the same time PC did,
yeah,
because like I'm not mad about them releasing it on new platforms.
I'm not either.
On principle. It's the timing of these releases that's making me upset. Because
yeah, it's personal.
The game coming out on Switch is one thing, right? Obviously, they've like Monster Hunter has a very long history on Nintendo platforms, like handhelds, in the last decade to decade and a half, right? So they have a good relationship with Nintendo, and they don't want to ruin that, right? So I get it. Okay, this game's being made for Switch, which I mean ultimately sucks because the game is just slacking in so many ways because it's a fucking Switch game. But to then come out with it on PC last year was fairly expected. It wasn't surprising, and I didn't think much of it. But now I'm like, dude, like, why is there another year between that and now PlayStation and Xbox? Like, what the fuck? And like, because this has never happened with the Nintendo with the Nintendo Monster Hunter games. They have never come to PlayStation and Xbox ever. None of them have, and they're never going to. By the way, like, and that, so that, like, that is what's surprising here, that this is a precedent, and the fact that like they waited, like you said, they're triple dipping too. They're like they're releasing it on 3 different platforms, spaced out. You know, like that's what I have a problem with. Is like, because like you said, if it came out on PC and PS5 and Xbox last year, dude, we would have bought it on PlayStation 5. Like, no offense to our friends, like, fuck them. I'll play on PlayStation. Like, you know,
exactly.
like, this is a PlayStation game for me now. Like, you know, Monster Hunter. If I have the choice of platform, it's going to be PlayStation. So it's like,
me too.
I don't know. I'm just annoyed at that. I am annoyed at that fact. Like this whole, like Rise, the whole thing with Rise, I think from the get go, like it's just a fucking disaster for us, dude. Like this is the worst Monster Hunter experience that I think I've ever had. You know, as much as
you're right.
As much as I do think the game is good overall, I have not enjoyed it the way I have previous Monster Hunter games.
So that's where my gripe is, and a lot of people don't understand that because like the game is good, and it's like, yeah, the game is good, the mechanics are good, and everything like that. Like it's just my experience, and it's hard to be objective with the game when your experience with the game is just so bad, and it's not like it's the game's gameplay or the game itself. It's just everything surrounding the game.
Yeah,
and the amount of people I saw was like, oh, I can't wait to get this and everything like that. And they didn't understand my anger because I'm like, bro, I already got this shit on PC and I put hundreds of hours into it on PC or tens of hours or whatever. Maybe I think I'm at like 150 hours on PC.
60, 70? Let me look.
Something like that. But I already put that much time into it on PC. And then I put much time to it on Switch as well. It was like 30 hours I put into it on Switch or something like that. So
98.9 hours for me, so you're probably a little higher than that.
Okay. So so for them to like do that was kind of wild to me. For them to do this is wild to me. And then to add the fucking cherry on top, right? This is fucking 2022. This is a multi-platform game, bro.
Yeah.
For them to say, "Oh, we're not going to do crossplay." Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Is it that fucking hard to do crossplay?
That is bad. That and the fact, no, actually, you reminded me too while you're talking, like the fact that Sunbreak isn't going to be out when Rise launches in January. What? What are you talking about? Like what? You're gonna make people on PlayStation and Xbox wait 3, 4, 5 months before they can play Sunbreak? Like it's like a fucking prison sentence? Like what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
And
like
no one's upset about this. Like
That's
nobody's
crazy.
upset about that.
That's the part of it to me that's the craziest shit. Like,
I was going through comments trying to look for someone to like bond with it over anger. Nobody, none of the comments, none of the quoted retweets. I saw it on Reddit.
God,
Nobody, bro, nobody is fighting this. Like
this is like
nobody.
this has become like Pokemon, dude.
Yeah, it is.
Monster Hunter's at Pokemon level. Like, dude, like they're fucking in their cups, bro. Like they're fucking like they are in Capcom's pocket, dude. Like that's
I
crazy. I would be raging about this if I was waiting for this to come to PlayStation. Like if I had predicted that and I didn't buy it on PC and Switch, you know, with that, like I was like really hoping for it, and it finally gets announced, and it's like, oh, you don't get the expansion for like 3 months after the base game. It's like, what?
well, I think this is people's logic, right? I think people had this logic that you said at the beginning
Yeah.
that they never did this before. So when
Yeah.
the Switch version came out and the PC version came out, people were like, they just wrote it off like, this is probably the Monster Hunter I'm not going to play, you know, like that.
Yeah.
Whatever. I played it before. I played Base Rise on the Switch. A lot of people said they stopped. And then a lot of people said they went back when Sunbreak came out and they were okay with it on the Switch. Or whatever the case may be. And then there's a very select few, I say like maybe 10 or 5 to 10% of us who did buy it on PC and played it on PC exclusively.
Yeah.
But then this to me, to them, this is like, oh, well, cool. Like I can just play on the PlayStation now.
Mhm.
But no one's thinking like, even if you bought it on the Switch and you played it on the Switch, and you played Sunbreak on the Switch, right? That character won't transfer over. You will have to do that grind all over again.
Yeah.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, and that shit took us like a month.
Yeah, because we did a month
Pre-Sunbreak.
preparing.
Yeah, we
prepared
spent all
for
of
it, right?
June. We spent all of June, yeah, preparing. Yeah, I think like this is my thing. I think this is the reason I don't enjoy this game. Is Capcom's handling of this game, I think, is just so anti-player. Like they are,
It is.
they don't care about the player experience. Like that's what drives me crazy about the fan base, like not giving them grief at all for any of this shit. Is like, dude, like you guys are just accepting a worse experience for this game that we have never had before, and this is what we're gonna get going forward. It's just gonna get worse from here, dude. You know, like
Yeah, no, you.
I'm fully expecting the next Monster Hunter, like Paradise, to have microtransactions.
Oh, it's
Like I'm
100%.
almost 100% positive that's coming. You know,
And people are going to walk in with open arms.
they are. Yeah. No, I think we're heading straight there, dude. I think Monster Hunter has finally eclipsed the point where they can get away with that. You know, because dude, nobody can sit here and tell me that base Rise being available for 3 months or however long it is, 3 months, or God forbid 4. Spring is a long time, or could be considered a long period of time, a long window for release. Like nobody can tell me that is not a worse experience than having Sunbreak at the same time, you know, like on launch. Like the game is objectively worse without Sunbreak, you know. And it is pointless to play Rise without Sunbreak, given especially when you hit endgame of Rise, you know. Like I could understand playing it to the point where you get to the point where you can go to Sunbreak, right? Like you just do all the story stuff you need to do. But playing it beyond that to like level your equipment and get better gems and all that shit, that is absolutely 100% completely fucking pointless. You know, like there is no reason to do it. So I don't know.
Like I'm just looking at the Reddit right now, bro. I was listening to you, and
they eating it up,
bro. Like, look at they're like so passive. Like, unfortunate, but still awesome is coming to all platforms. Not surprised in the slightest. It's not launching with Sunbreak, so it'll be physically impossible for it to play with Switch or Steam. It's like,
yeah.
y'all not mad about that?
That's
Like y'all upset
pushing
about
yourself
that.
into a pretzel, bro, to justify something.
To be fair, Capcom already said that there wouldn't be crossplay for Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak back when it was coming to Steam. Pretty cool that it's going to be on other consoles, though. It means the Monster Hunter Portable team isn't tied to one console anymore, like the PSP or the 3DS days.
Oh my god.
That's what you all took from that?
bro.
That's
No,
what we took from
bro,
that.
bro. I almost want to go find that Reddit comment and be like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? They made the game for Switch. I don't care that it's on other platforms. It's a fucking Switch game. Like,
Somebody
God,
said time to completely do this all over again for a third and fourth time.
no, stop
Funny,
it.
funny
Go
story is
play
my Switch
something
just
else,
broke.
dude.
I can't
Oh,
believe this is happening.
it's so frustrating, man. I don't know. I don't know. Fucking know. I mean, like,
It is a sarcastic comment that got downvoted. Capcom is a small indie company, so understandably they wouldn't have the resources to develop crossplay.
yeah, for real. Dude, or release, God forbid, release Sunbreak and Rise at the same time. Wow, that must be so hard.
This is insane.
No, I think what they're gonna do, dude, it kind of makes me wonder: are they gonna release Rise and then they're gonna do like a mini, like, live service period for it, like they did with the base game? You know, like they're gonna truncate how long it was, like, you know, the 12 months where content was coming out. They're gonna truncate it into 3 months or something for those users. Like, is that what they're gonna do? Like, are they that married to their little post
It,
content launch shit? Because
it,
they did that with PC. Remember?
yeah, but I want to reiterate. I thought I was reading just the. I actually so I tabbed out for two article or two threads, right? One was for the I thought it was for the Monster Hunter's coming to Xbox Series X, Xbox and PS4 and PS5 on January 20th, and then another one I tabbed out for was Monster Hunter would not support cross save. The ones that I read, y'all, which one you think it was for? That were like still positive.
Oh no. What?
It was for the cross save. It was for the
Just for the
cross
cross
save.
save? Oh, okay.
You would think people would be, and I think that's bullshit. I would be more upset about
I'm
the cross
absolutely
save.
bullshit.
I would be more upset about the cross save because on the original thread, people were like, "Oh, this is cool," and I'm actually kind of with them. Right, this would be cool if I'm like, "Yo, if cross save is there, I might double dip. I might buy on the PlayStation 5."
Triple dip. Triple dip.
Yeah, I might triple dip and then buy on the PlayStation 5. But then for you to say it's not,
No, I'm not
okay,
doing that grind again, dude. Fuck
yeah,
you.
man.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing that grind again. I can't. I cannot do that grind again. I'm sorry. Like,
No, I can't do it, man. I'll stick to PC. I can't do it, man.
no, I am too.
That's insane.
I mean, we said we wanted to go back to it, like, maybe next year when all the title
Yeah, I
updates
mean,
are
I'll
out.
go back to
So
it for sure. I'm definitely going to go back to it once the title updates are done.
that's what I'm
But
hoping for.
um, to
My,
me,
yeah.
this also verifies that we're not getting a Monster Hunter game until like 2025. People are saying 2024. I say 2025.
I actually agree. I do think that kind of delays when we're gonna get it for sure.
That's insane to me. And that's why I was so upset. I was, I was, bro. When I read that, I was so bad. I was so bad.
Mm-hmm.
This is the I think this is the worst. This is the maddest I've been about a game, and like not even like Cyberpunk or anything like that. Like I was legitimately mad because this is a franchise I fucking love. Like I grew up playing. I played the very first Monster Hunter. I played every fucking Monster Hunter game,
Yeah.
and for it to become like this is like
I don't want to be negative, but I think they're gonna ruin it, dude.
I know that's why I'm so mad when I saw this.
That's where my heart is right now with this. Like, I think they're gonna ruin it, and I don't want that. I love Monster Hunter so deeply. Like, it's
I I do too. I was so mad, Justin, that I went off with somebody that said God of Year 3 is out. I went
I
off
know.
on
I
it.
saw that. You fucking went in on that guy, bro. God damn. Oh shit. Ah, man. No, it's just I've seen this with games before, right? Um, like I've seen it with like World of Warcraft, right? Like that's an example of it where it just
Mhm.
you start to see the cracks form, and
But
you try to lie to yourself that like, oh, it's not, it's okay, everything's gonna be fine, you know. But then you're looking at it like 2 or 3 years later, and you're like, what was I thinking, dude? Like, this is fucking horrible. They've ruined this. They've ruined this game, you know. And Monster Hunter, I think, is going to be a much more slow burn in how long it takes to truly be like fucked. But I don't know. I mean, microtransactions in the game, in the next game, would be truly bad. I would be extremely upset. Like, extremely upset, actually.
Or there were people complaining about it. I just dipped into the Reddit like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and there were people complaining about it. But it was a whole bunch of defenders, and they're like, "It's just fucking cosmetics, guys. It doesn't affect your stats." And it's like, you don't get it. One day it will. That's how it starts.
Yeah, I guess you're right. There already are microtransactions in the game because you can buy the cosmetics. That's like, what am I even thinking about? Yeah, dude, they're already there. Like, yeah, I think I'm more referencing, I guess, shit that like ruins the game, right? That like breaks the game because like
no,
you
you're
said,
right.
yeah, stats, right? Statistical changes, yeah.
Like, what if you can buy jewels? They got
buy jewels or jewel packs. Oh no, no, you're guaranteed like a high tier jewel or something, you know, for like $5.
Oh my God. They turned it into a fucking loot
and
box.
there's like 10 jewels in the high tier like class of jewel, and there's one jewel in that tier that's fucking awful, you know.
It gets worse.
It's like fucking Gatherer 4 or something, you know, like.
It gets worse, bro. Oh my God. I don't even know if I know if I just thought of this, they definitely thought of this. You hunt monsters. You do play regular Monster Hunter, right? You get to the end game grind.
Yeah.
And you can get jewels or decorations or whatever the fuck you want to call them.
Yeah.
And you got the loot box system. And you can buy, they have 2 currencies though, right? And you can buy the loot boxes with 1 currency that you get in game from hunting monsters.
Oh yeah.
And then you got another currency that you can use that you buy to buy the loot boxes. But let's say for it's how much a loot box is in Apex? Like what? 100. So it's like $1, right? $100 of that money.
Yeah, $1 piece. Yeah.
So it's like $1. So let's say it's 500 of the in-game credits, but only $100. Only 100 of the loot the paid money credits, like $1. Yeah. Premium currency. And each time you hunt a monster, it's probably like 20 to 40 currency. Or if they do it truly Monster Hunter style, it's fucking RNG. So you can get anywhere to like
from
1
to 100. Yeah. Yeah.
I hate myself.
Nah, bro, it's gonna be $5 a box, right? And you're gonna get 5 gems, you know. And those gems are going to be guaranteed to be of certain rarities, right? And
oh my God,
those rarities are going to have certain gems in them, or maybe there's going to be certain. You know how World did it, where the gems are randomized.
Yeah,
they're going to randomize the gems within the boxes, so you get a random gem, but those gems are also randomized to have random skills, and there's like levels of gems, you know. And so the skills on them could always be shit. Like there's no guarantee you're ever going to get anything actually good, you know?
Dude. And
that's the gamble, you know? Here we are, everybody. We're ruining Monster Hunter on the podcast. Let's go. Let's go. I mean, dude, all these things, I'm telling you, dude, I bet you if they did this shit, people would fucking eat it up. Like, honestly, I don't even trust myself enough to think I wouldn't fucking eat it up, you know? Like, I'm a fucking gotcha bitch. Like, you know, like they'll get me if they do that, you know, probably. Like, I'll be the degenerate, and you'll be on the podcast screaming at me like, what the fuck, man? You're part of the problem, you know? Like, ugh. Or
they're gonna make it free.
How about this?
Just make it free to play?
Free to play? Sure, why not? What? Fuck it, why not, dude? But how about this? You can buy items in the shop that increase your chances of getting rare monster parts.
Oh my God!
Like
XP boosters.
Like XP, it's the form of XP boosters. Yes, exactly.
And then someone's
Or
gonna do a deep dive and say, like, if you do not buy these boosters, you have to spend. It'll take X amount of years to get this
yeah,
part.
they're gonna
Oh my
lower the
god!
drop rates for people who don't buy the boosters. And then, oh, what's the other thing? Oh, in Rise, like in Sunbreak, right? Didn't they introduce this system of random modifications on your equipment too?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you can do that too. So you'll have little like dusts that you can buy that increase the chances of the success rate of modifying your gear, or increase the success rate of getting something good when you modify your gear. You know, or you can like increase the success rate of picking a certain stat you want or something, you know, and that you can increase the success rate of getting that maybe, you know. It's like, oh, there's so many ways they could do it, dude. It's so sinister. I mean, we're being extreme. I don't expect most of these things that we've talked about to truly be in the series. Uh, Maybe 10 years from now they might be, but not in the next century. But oh, I don't know.
I don't know, man. If they say the next Monster Hunter is gonna be free to play, I'm done. Only if they say free to play, and then like
No, they would ruin
uh
it. No, it'd be guaranteed that they ruin it, dude. There's no way around it. Like if you're free to play, dude, you have to go all in on this bullshit, you know? That we're talking about shit that we're talking about like this. Like Monster Hunter is not good enough cosmetically to survive on cosmetics, you know?
yeah,
Like the game, no offense, the armor in Monster Hunter mostly looks like shit most of the time, you know? Like
yeah.
in my opinion, like I don't think it's looked good since the DS games, you know?
No, you're right. You're
Design
right.
wise, like World looked terrible. I hated the designs of Armor and World, and we both
They're
talked about
very
this. We
safe.
fucking gender swapped in Sunbreak because the female armor looks so fucking bad, you know. So they can't survive off cosmetics if they're gonna go towards microtransactions.
What I think
You know?
they can do like I don't know. Have you ever played those old school mobile games, or even some of the newer school mobile games where you have like a stamina
Mm-hmm.
to how many monsters you can fight, or
Oh
something like
yeah.
that,
Oh no,
a day?
no, that would be horrible. No, no, dude, no, dude. No, dude. No, they don't. No, you know what they do? They don't introduce that system until you've beaten the game. So they
That
let
would
you
be
beat the
crazy.
the story, and then at the end, when so you can fight all the monsters that are below the final boss, right? Any amount of
Yeah,
times you want, right? You can do that as much as you want. But there's a tier of monsters, which they always do this, right? There's tiers of monsters above the final boss, like the anomaly
yeah.
shit or the fucking tempered monsters, you know, that shit. Those monsters are the ones that you can only fight a certain number of times per day. So you can only progress in the end game slowly over a period of time unless you pay money, you know.
That's insane.
That's sinister, isn't it? Sounds like Genshin.
I mean, y'all think we may sound crazy right now, but this just because, like, man, you guys think this just because they re-released it on the fucking
I know
Xbox?
we are taking this so far, dude. Like I was thinking that earlier. Oh my god, yeah, we are really taking this so far. But
But I just see the pipeline, bro. Because like people are okay
well, we're
with this.
seeing
No
the
one's pushing
cracks. We're
back.
talking about the cracks, right? Like we
Yeah.
see the cracks. It's like, you know, we may be here in 10 years, guys. Like I'm warning you. Like, well, here's another one. Okay, this one's the least likely, but a
I'm
gotcha
so glad we're
system.
not like CEOs or executives because they're like, yo, this is some
Yeah,
good ideas, guys.
these guys are good. We need to hire these guys. Oh, bro, if you want me to ruin your video game, I'm easy. That's easy, bro. But okay. So this one's super unlikely. But imagine if you get a group of monsters for free that you can fight, right, in the game,
Mhm.
and that's your story. And then when you beat the game, there's a huge roster of monsters that you can fight after you beat the game, but you have to roll on a gotcha system. So you can like roll for Almudron, the ability to fight Almudron, or fucking
That's sinister.
yeah, or like the Elder Dragons. They're like the
I
five
can see
stars,
people
you know?
defending that shit.
Yeah, you could like
Well, I'm
roll
not really playing
you
for
could
the
roll
money,
for
man.
Fatalis. Can
That's
you
sinister.
imagine? Could you imagine them trying that? Oh my god. Oh, that would be fucked, dude. All right, we need to
That's
stop. We
sinister.
need to stop. This is going to a really dark place. It's not that bad yet. All right, dude. Like we're not in this place
Yeah,
yet.
we're not there yet. We're not there
We're
yet.
not there
But
yet.
I can see the writing on the wall. I can see if they did this for like a mobile Monster Hunter, I would
Yeah.
have no problem with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know you say that though, but then look at Fire Emblem, bro. They are releasing Fire Emblem Heroes, the game, on Switch with Fire Emblem Engage. You know, like it's infecting the core game now. You know, and I know it looks cool, but I can't get that out of my head when I think about Fire Emblem Engage. It's fucking Fire Emblem Heroes, dude. Like they're putting that shit into the core franchise now. It's not, the microtransactions aren't necessarily there,
Okay,
but
that's why I was. That's why I was
the,
getting
de-
scared.
I know, but the design mechanics are like, the design of the mechanics are like the idea of summoning heroes. Like that is Fire Emblem Heroes, literally. Like, you know,
You're
like
right.
you can fight with Sigrun and Marth and fucking Ike. You know, it's like, I like, as cool as that sounds, that's a mobile game idea. Like, I don't want that in my core Fire Emblem game. I just want a fucking Fire
Oh
Emblem
my
game
god.
where you're this
And
new
then
characters in a new world. You know,
they're gonna
like
have hero packs.
yeah, bro. There's gonna be DLC, dude. Fire Emblem Engage is going to have character pack DLC. Abso-fucking-lutely. Like, no question. They've done that in the past. They did it in Awakening. They did it in Fates. Like, it's
Oh
like
my god.
not even a remote question for me that they're gonna do that. Like,
David is dead. Oh my god.
we're getting really dark this week.
Thanks, Monster Hunter.
Really
Oh
dark. Capcom, you can go fuck yourselves, dude.
for real. I think Capcom been wanting to do this with Monster Hunter. I think they been wanting it, but
What?
I don't know, man.
How though? I mean, Capcom isn't owned by anybody. No one's forcing them to do this shit.
I think the team is pushing back. I think the team is like, no, we don't want this in our games. But I think as the years go by and like higher ups leave the team and retire and shit, like they don't have the leverage they once did,
Get
you know,
fed
to
up.
stand up to Capcom.
Just quit.
You know,
Leave.
yeah.
Imagine they're like, hey man, what about an idea if we had a decoration loot box? No, sorry, don't say loot box. Decoration chests. You know,
Yeah, they have to put it in the Monster Hunter term. So I don't know what
it'd be a decoration chest or something, or like a what are those fucking lottery things?
Oh yeah,
You pull out of the box.
yeah.
It'd be like that probably.
Or they have a whole animation for it. I can just see the little cats bringing the chest to
Oh,
you.
absolutely, bro. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Oh, they can make it so cute, you know. Dude, the lengths that gacha games go to make summoning look cool is fucking insane, dude. It's so fucking funny to me, actually. As much as I know I said earlier I'm a gacha bitch, so I'm like in these games, but like it's just so fucking funny, like how much effort some of these games put into making like getting a 5-star, like fucking, you know, it's like looks so fucking cool, you know. So yeah, I don't know, it's funny, but all right, Montreal, we need
All
to
right,
get the fuck
guys.
out of here. It's
Yeah.
almost 3 hours.
Wrap
in.
it up.
I'm fucking starving. I need to go eat dinner. So, all right, everybody. We hope you liked this episode. If you did, please like the show, review the show, and subscribe to the show on whatever feed you're listening to it on. And please share with your friends. If you'd like to interact with us on Twitter, you can do so at iTrap for the Hokage for Montrell. That is the number 4, not the word. I'm at Thundernut01, and the show is at the Player's Take. If you'd like to send us a question, you can do so on Twitter, or you can send us an email to theplayerstake01@gmail.com. That is it for us, guys. I've got a bunch of magic packs to go fucking open, and I need to eat first. But I'm fucking excited. Let's go. All right. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next week.